Welcome. Too quiet now? Okay, wait. Crank this up. How about now? Testing. Back in my day, Atrioc would never go live this early. Kids don't know how good they have it. He's right, folks. Who dat is right. He's right. J-Reg was right about what? What was he right about? J-Reg told me he invited me to a Grimes anti-clanker event. And I really wanted to go, but I can't go because I'm going to Japan. I think it'd be really funny to go to a Grimes anti-clanker event. Hello. Maisie, what is up? What is up? Isn't Grimes married to a clanker? In a way, I suppose. Good to see you all. Guys, we are going to have an interview here with Melody Wright in about 10, 15 minutes. It'll be really fun, but I want to check in and see how everybody's doing. Getting a call. The call says scam likely. I better answer it. I'll do a Kit Boga, quick impression. You're kind of quiet? Dude, what the hell happened? Too loud into too quiet? How about that? How about now? Testing. This sounds pretty good, right? We're back. Okay. Well, now it's loud, huh? So happy for Squeaks? Why? He voted Cuomo. Why the hell? Squeaks had the worst day of his life yesterday. Squeaks was depressed, stress eating. Sounds like the J-Reg videos are back to normal. No. So I'm gonna have to clip me. I want to make sure my audio is fine for this because we're recording. I need to make sure. I love my Atrioc content, but for real, where's the newest Lemonade Stand episode? It should be out by now. What the hell? Who do I have to? Should I take Aiden's money somehow? Should I dock his pay? Oh, it is out. All right, good. It's an interesting app. I'll be honest with you. We interview a CEO on it. Listen, I think it's an interesting interview because he's the biggest company in Canada. He's like the only tech company in Canada. He's got, but you know, he's very CEO pilled. So don't be, or he's president actually, but he's Shopify. It's Shopify. Yeah. But he's very like, you know, let's go entrepreneurship, which I think is a good thing, but it's not a solution, but it's, whatever. We talk about it on the show. I saw Grand Platinum in the news in Denmark. That's crazy. That is crazy. You guys are bored up there. You're too bored in Denmark if you got fucking main local elections on your news. 1000x bread on base calls as a hedge for the housing market. That sounds really smart because there's no way the housing market goes down, but bread on base doesn't go up. Do you know what I'm saying? It is a true hedge. Did you watch the Zoran speech? Not only did I watch it, we're making a clip of it and it's up in like an hour. So, I can't wait to see the White Luca tonight versus Wet Bananas. I've never heard Wet Bananas for Wembanyama, but I am going to see this game tonight. Luca v. Wemby. Going with, you know, the squad. Although Ludd might be sick, is what I heard. He's got fucking strep or something. So we'll see. Reeves out as long as Luca's there, baby. Although I will actually sad that Reeves is out. Wemby dropping 70 on bitch ass Luca. Okay. How long have you been a sub? 46 months? I'm timing you out instead of banning you. I'm timing you out instead of banning you because you're a 46 months. That's a shield. But do you know Wemby's never beaten Luca? 4-0. In every game they've ever met, Wemby's never beaten Luca. And it's not changing tonight. 5-0. If Wemby does drop 70, if they come back and VIP him, if Wemby drops 70, you won't see me turn the stream up live. All right, wait, 6 minutes until Melody Wright. Guys, sincere question. I started a little late, honestly, to be here. I should have been live about 30 minutes earlier. Sincere questions. Do you have anything you would like to ask about the housing market? Sincerely. And it could be a dumb question. It could be anything. This is like, I think, one of the greatest, most insightful experts on the American housing market right now. I really, really enjoy her content. And I think she has an insight into what's going on that many people don't have, including myself. And so I will like to have your questions. Why house so expensive? That's a fair question. Talk about Canadian housing? Maybe, but I think I want to focus on America. AI or housing bubble? Wait, let me get some of these questions down. Should I slime my parents to get the house? No, I'm not going to ask you that. Is there any way we could fix this issue without destroying the boomers and folks with big loans? That's a great question. Should I tip my landlord when he doubles my rent? That's a great question. What's the difference between a house and a home? That's a great question. What are some tangible things politicians can do to improve affordability? Those are good questions. These are good questions. I'll be honest with you. It's a little spoiler, but I'm aware of her stance, I believe, going into this. I'm going to try to get her to explain it. But my understanding is that she doesn't think politicians will have to do much to get affordability because she thinks prices are coming down, but in a rapid way. I mean, she thinks it's very, 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 very propped. But she's gonna explain why. I can't explain her for her because I don't understand it as well as she does, candidly. What percentage of home purchases are done by private citizens versus companies? That's a great question. I want to ask her about adjustable rate mortgages. I want to ask her about different housing markets. These are all good questions. All right, well, let me get ready here. And then we'll talk about Lena Khan as part of Mamdani's transition team. I'm very excited about that. And then we'll talk about other stuff. But why are they only building 6-bedroom houses and no more starter homes? I'm not even sure that's true. Will it or was it ever worth it to buy a home instead of renting one and putting it into the market? I mean, it's a good question, I guess. I'll ask. Is there a path to changing zoning in the U.S.? I mean, I can answer that in that this passed in New York as part of the election. I don't have the specifics, but 3 YIMBY measures passed in New York, and including upzoning. I don't know exactly where, though. I have to figure out how big or impactful it is, but they did pass. There's a great video by Ben Felix on YouTube that answers that question. Oh, you're not sure. All right, well, we're about 2 minutes away. 2 minutes away. Should we build houses out of glizzies to make house more affordable? That's a great question. Thank you so much for that insightful and powerful question. I'll definitely pass that along to Melody Wright. Will you ever get cheaper EU shipping for failed codes? Fucking probably not, bro. Literally probably not. Okay, 1 more minute. Let me make sure I got my Zoom ready. Oh, she's here. Wait, Melody, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi.
Let me see if I can pull it. Give me 1 second to set this up
Sure.
technically. Thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Is this okay? How do I make it so we show? I guess I can't. That's fine. That's fine. I'll do it like this. All right. Okay. And you can see me okay? I'm trying to
Yeah, I can see
double
you just
broadcast.
fine. I
Okay.
love your hat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Melody Wright, an expert on the U.S. housing market. You have actually a very storied history. I've learned from your Substack. You like taught Russian, you taught Mandarin, or you learned Mandarin in Taiwan. You had,
Yeah.
you've had a pretty storied history, but a lot of it is in the real estate industry. That's correct.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, and I think you said that you worked through the great financial crash in 2008
That's
and 9.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
started a mortgage in September of 2006.
right into the
Yeah.
fire.
Right in
Uh,
the fire.
so
Yes.
I found your Substack a few months back, and I found it to be like a real breath of fresh air, a real insightful look at what's actually going on, because it feels like the housing market is incomprehensible. I don't understand why it does what it does. I don't understand why the numbers seem to be continuing to get worse. And I appreciated what I was reading, but I would love if you could help explain it to a wider audience. And I almost don't know where to start because it's such a big, intractable number of questions. So I thought I'd start with this. There's a graph. I'm gonna pull up here. Here. I don't know. Let me see if I can share it with you, so you can see what they're seeing. Um, this one. Can you see that?
Yes. Yes. Yep. I just posted about this.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect. Let me see if I can also get you back on screen. Okay, you can still see it.
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Perfect. Okay. So wait, I think my sound. There it is. Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
It's
Really
all good. It's all
interview
good.
processes. Okay. So yeah. So I think this chart is telling a story that I think a lot of my audience wants to know about, which is that U.S. first-time homebuyers is now reached the record age of 40 years old, which is
That's right.
from the late 20s and then in the 80s. So this is what I think is driving a lot of nihilism and disillusionment and anger and frustration with a lot of people who are younger, because they feel like the opportunities to get a house that were available for those older than them are no longer still around. Like,
Yes. Yep. Yep. Maybe so I should just start with kind of like a brief history of how we got
yeah,
here.
that'd be
And
great.
yeah. And it really started before I got in mortgage. It started really with women joining the workforce in the 70s because they had to. Before then, you could see that home prices tracked household median income, just like this, barely any movement.
Okay.
And then as women started joining the workforce, you also had divorce rates going up. And so you kind of had something driving household formation that you really hadn't had before, like families splitting up. Then comes the 80s when they start doing these securitizations, where if you've watched The Big Short, and if anybody has not seen that movie, they really need to see it, but they
I
package up
agree.
the mortgages, they sell those bonds off. And this really drove a different kind of sort of activity in the mortgage market. It became about a big part of it, even back in the 80s, was about investment. And so from there, what happens is you start seeing kind of this low interest rate sort of every time we got into trouble, right? We would see these lower interest rates, and even the Fed would start buying mortgage backed securities. That happened
Right.
after the GFC. But even before then, you basically saw that whoever was in power would use the housing market to restart the economy after a cycle had ended, trying to get every Tom, Dick, and Harry into the housing
Right. Right.
market.
Right. So
And then
okay.
go ahead.
I just want to make
No,
sure
you go.
I want to restate to make sure I understand. So every time we got into any economic turmoil,
That's
the
right.
government, left or right, would cut interest rates, stimulate, even go as far as buying mortgage-backed securities, printing money. That led to the increasing housing prices. That okay, okay,
Absolutely.
okay, all right,
Absolutely.
okay,
And, in the early 2000s, it truly was, I think, a lot of families that were buying, forming households, things like that, going to Target and Home Depot every week, kind of to spruce up their houses. And so it worked to some degree, before the GFC. Well, then we get, but at the same time, you also had investors participating, buying up second homes, for either vacation or to do long-term rental. And
right,
that's kind of a good way to make passive income. So we hit 2008. Most people misunderstand that crisis. Subprime was really a small portion of the market. What ultimately caused a great financial crisis, or global financial crisis, some people call it, is a lack of confidence and collateral in these big securitization derivative markets. And so one day, Chase no longer would take Lehman's pledged assets, and then the whole sort of market fell apart. And so that's important because
So they
we're
just
going to
panic.
come.
It's a panic.
It's panic.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
confidence game.
Yeah.
Like right now, you may have been seeing kind of repo increasing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, right. And so what that is when you pledge a mortgage-backed security, you can get 30, I believe it's three times, if not more than that, in terms of liquidity. And so these are kind of, people look at these things as money good, to pledge these assets to get more money back. And so, yeah. Anyway, essentially what happened is kind of the entire financial market imploded. And what we need to understand too, for historical perspective, is that the shadow markets, is where those derivatives trade in that off balance sheet sort of securitization market,
Right.
that is now much larger than it was back then. So
Yeah, so
let's keep that
can
into
I ask? So
perspective.
I
Yeah.
talked with Steve Eisman actually of The Big Short. We
Yes.
did an interview, and
Yeah.
he mentioned some of this, which is that the rules changed for banks after the Great Financial Crisis to add some
Correct.
regulation, but
That's
then
right.
all of the shady lending just went off the bank's balance sheets onto these private lenders.
Well, what's gonna be funny about it is, and, it didn't not that's not where it all went. It
Okay.
went onto the balance sheet of, the government-sponsored agencies. So, when the banks pulled back because of those Basel III requirements
Yeah.
and, sort of all these, restrictions, you needed more, capital if you were gonna hold mortgages that weren't backed by the government. It forced everybody, it did a lot of the lending went into the shadows, but the lending went into the shadows, but who was buying what was being, those loans? That was Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, or Ginnie Mae,
So
I should
can
say. Go
can
ahead.
I want to make sure I understand this like mechanically. So if I'm a private lender and you want to buy a house, and so I don't do a proper credit check or whatever, I give you more money than you can probably afford. Then I can flip that and sell that back to the government, so there's no risk on my balance sheet. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's not
Is it
even so.
okay?
So in that scenario, you're giving more agency to that lender than they actually have. It's so regimented the way that you have to do this underwriting. So let's say I'm Rocket,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you a mortgage. I'm going to use the underwriting, the automated underwriting tool of the agencies to approve that loan. And so the agencies program this tool, they're the ones that are fully underwriting this stuff. You're just kind of the person checking the boxes to make sure that it fits into their box. Now, and this is, sort of the AI conversation. You can learn to game these systems.
Of
And so,
course. Yeah.
yes, yeah, the lenders do learn how to game them. But in essence, what happened with all that crazy regulation on the lending side, Dodd Frank, is they actually removed the debt to income threshold in 2021 very quietly. Nobody knew it really happened because they already found that, like, I think it was almost a million Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans did not fit into this qualified mortgage. Or it didn't fit the new
So they
required.
relax the rules.
Exactly. They relaxed the rules. Of course they did,
Okay.
because it's so basically what happened is the government stepped into where the private market was previously in that subprime. And that's government subprime. It's called FHA. This program used to be about those first time home buyers that you're showing there, but it went off the rails, and pretty much anybody can use it if they claim that they're going to occupy that home, and it's a very low skin in the game, 3.5% down payment. You can have as low as a 580 credit score with compensating factors. I've even heard of more. Debt to income over 50%. I mean, these are like for someone who lived through the GFC and saw it on, I'll call the servicing side, that's after the loan has been made, and I saw what happened to those loans.
Okay.
I am seeing things now that I never saw back then. Much worse, much worse. And so basically, the government, because they needed to juice the economy, they stepped in with these very generous programs. And then kind of the fraudsters took advantage of those programs. Just think, you could get your cousin, go get one of these. Really, it's an investment property. Claim that you're going to live in it. And that's mortgage fraud that we've been hearing a lot about. And they basically just flip. This is what's so crazy is that FHA before the last cycle was about 7% of the market. It's now almost doubled. It's between 13 and 15% of the market, and it's already over 10% delinquent and has been
Oh, geez.
since. Yeah, it's so when we in 2007, I went back, looked at one of our investor decks, and we were one of the biggest subprime lenders in the country. We very much righted the ship and went all into agency, which is why we went to bankruptcy, but that's another story. But when you look back at our mortgage book, the percentage of subprime we had on our books back then, including FHA, was 12%. So percentage of the market, we're already higher with these kind of toxic loans. Okay. But why isn't everybody screaming about this? Because 2024 was an election year and the current administration wanted to win that election. And so they did one of the craziest loss mitigation programs I've ever seen. So, after the last crisis, what they did is these loan modifications where you come in, you can say, hey, I can't make this payment. And they say, okay, I'll work with you. We'll see how we can change some of the loan terms so that you can actually get a
This
lower
is
payment.
this is wild to hear because I did an interview with Bill Moreland. You ever heard of
Oh, I
him?
love Bill.
Bill Moreland. He
Love
told me
Bill.
the same
Yeah.
thing about
Yeah.
other aspects that the banks are doing, where they're
100%.
modifying all of
100%.
these commercial real estate loans,
Correct.
these auto
Correct.
loans. They're
Correct.
just
Yep.
extending and pretending.
Extending and
Okay,
pretending. And
interesting.
and then we also have to have perspective. After COVID, so we had the GFC. They did all these loss mitigation workouts. As Tim Geithner, testified to Congress, they were foaming the runway for the banks, just trying to slow everything down. And then I want to mention something really quickly. The way we got out of that crisis was at the behest of the agencies, Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie. Wall Street came in and picked up all of those foreclosed homes for pennies on the dollar to turn around and do long term rental. Okay. So then we kind of so my point will be important later is that they kind of arrested the decline because we never really fully got back to where household median income supported the median home price. And
You
so
mean
you could
after
hear people
2009, we never got back to.
after, no, we didn't. And you could hear people talking about a bubble again in 2019, as well as they were talking about a recession. But, incomes, the Fed, the government with
Well,
all
COVID
kinds of
changed everything, right?
assistance.
There was tons of
It
stimulus, and yeah, okay,
Yeah, and that's what so we get to COVID. Before COVID, you had to fully underwrite a loan again for a loss mitigation workout. In COVID, they said, nope, you don't need to do that anymore. In fact, they don't even have to call in. We're going to send the modification in the mail. And as long as they make their 3 trial payments, we're going to give them that modification. Doesn't matter if they could actually qualify for this. And in fact, you didn't have to call in to get on a forbearance. They just automatically put you on it. Okay, so think about this. We've already gone they could put 18 months of forborne payments at the back of their loan in a non-interest bearing lien to be paid off when the loan pays off or when they sell the home, which is kind of crazy town if you think about it. That's like a second lien mortgage, which was
sure,
another problem we had back then.
okay,
On the Fannie Friday side, they didn't record those on public record. Okay, that means nobody knows it's really there unless you run like a credit report. But I'm finding a lot of servicers aren't reporting correctly to credit. So this is where we have to stop ourselves and say, why have home prices continued to go up? Why have we not had delinquency? Because we had intervention on a scale I've never seen. And then, as if that wasn't enough, because in June of 2023, FHA was just, delinquency was soaring. They knew they had to do something to get through the election year. They did this crazy partial claim advanced loan modification where essentially you could get your loan. not pay for the first 3 months, go and say, "I'm so sorry, I can't pay." And they say, "No problem. We're gonna give you a partial claim," which is that little non-interest bearing lien I'm telling you about.
Okay. Okay.
You could pay for 3 more mo you could not pay for 3 more months, go back, get it again, and again, and again, and again. There was no limitation on it,
Does that
and
extend till now? So you could have gotten a house and just not paid for.
it's so disgusting. That's correct. That is, and that's what investors did. There are actually whole rings.
Okay, can I ask? Wait, I want to ask
Go ahead.
because so you're
Keep
saying
interrupting me
investors.
because
No,
this is a
I want to make
complicated
sure they
story.
get it. And yeah, it's complicated, and I don't even get all of it. So let me understand. So you're saying investors a lot. I want to make sure because what I'm hearing from these young people is that they don't know this tactic for getting a house
I know.
so who's taking advantage of this? Is this like people trying to farm Airbnbs? Is this larger investing corporations? Is this like who is using this mortgage fraud essentially to buy up and bid up the price of all these houses?
So it's a lot of the Airbnb bros, short-term rental, that kind of thing, but also the builders have figured this out.
Okay.
The
Wait,
bill
so they
and so
build it and then sell it to themselves basically?
Well, they build it and then sell it. They underwrite it and then they sell it to the GSE,
I see. I see.
to Fannie Freddie. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
right
yeah.
now you can see that FHA mortgages originated by the builders are some of the most delinquent right now. But it's your mom and pop
That's
investor. It's
insane.
the people that when COVID hit and everybody wanted passive income, they would go into a what we call a non-qualified mortgage bank. That's where you do these private loans like debt service coverage ratio loans that they talk about in The Big Short. And the bank would be using this tool called, one of the tools is called AirDNA that said, "Oh, if you buy this house in Kyle, Texas, which is 20 miles south of Austin, you can make $600 a day about 55% of the time of the year." Well,
This is like a
that's
program telling you the
exactly. And it's
profit you'll make
telling
on an Airbnb.
Correct, and the
Okay.
banks were using it. The non-banks were using it. But the thing about it is you're only gonna get that Airbnb rented in Kyle, Texas, during South by Southwest
Yeah, I mean,
or
how often it's not running $600 a
correct.
day every day.
When you have 15,000 other short-term rentals to choose from in Austin, yeah, you're not getting booked in Kyle, Texas. This was what people were thinking, and so these banks would actually say, "Why buy 1? You can buy 10."
Oh, I mean,
So
I remember in this era, I mean, this is 2021 onwards, right? This is that
right. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
In this
Yep.
era, it was all over social media where people would be telling you to
Yes.
buy Airbnbs.
Yes.
It was great passive
Yes.
income. You
Yes.
get 10, 20 of them. Don't get one, get 10. Get,
Exactly.
okay, yeah.
And they were selling them on Facebook. They weren't
Okay.
even selling them in the traditional market, which is one of our problems is that we don't understand exactly what happened. And so basically everybody piled in. And so you had the investors that use those private mortgages. Those were actually much smaller, about 3% of the market. But other people got smart that they could use this FHA program and buy these short term rentals. And by the way, our veterans also did this. They used their veteran benefits. I've talked to several of them that did this.
And then bought a bunch
Um,
of short-term rentals. Oh, that's
with their veteran benefit, which was supposed to be meant for your primary residence. So it's everywhere. And this is in the and so what a lot of people think is, oh, the housing market is is fine because it's about people that need to stay in their homes, right? Remember the big short is like people always pay their mortgages.
yeah.
The problem is that's not this housing market. This is not your mom and dad's housing market. This market is about investors. That's it. As you can see, first time home buyers are the lowest that they've been since they started tracking it in
Yeah.
the 80s. Okay. And so you've got in your institutionals, by the way, which I find it really funny. People, this is now a big political issue. It's going to be a political issue in every race, while housing is still unaffordable, saying, oh, institutionals own, all of the
Some
housing
percent.
market.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, the fact is it's not that big of a percentage. Nobody can know for sure because it's just so tricky to try to understand who owns what because you can own it through an LLC and things like that. But what's important where they do own, like in Atlanta, in Tampa, in San Antonio, in these markets, I met with one of the biggest institutional owners a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
They are net selling. As soon as those leases are up, they're rehabbing and they're selling because they know number
Wait, so
one,
they
they're
see
not cash
stress?
flowing.
They see stress?
Oh,
They're
they
okay.
see a lot of stress because they can see in markets like Atlanta, it's oversaturated because we haven't even started talking about how the builders went bananas and just started building like crazy. And we don't know how much because the survey of construction is how we understand what the permits are. But there's a lot of places in the country you don't need a permit. That's one thing. Secondly, we've gotten much lower participation in these surveys now.
Yeah,
So
that's all the economic data lately is the low
exactly. And
surveys.
so
Wait,
that's
can I
why
drill on that?
go
I want
ahead.
to, I want to sure
Yeah,
because
yeah. Go, go, go.
I think I heard you speak about this, and it's a question that I think breaks a narrative that I had. Because I think a lot of what people think about this housing market is that it's a supply issue. We don't have enough
Right.
supply, and that's why the prices are skyrocketing up. But the
Yeah.
way you tell it is that, they've been building like crazy. It's just
Yes.
that the things that are propping up the sales are not real human demand of people buying their houses. It's investors or it's other things. So can you drill into that a bit? It's not a supply
Absolutely.
issue.
No,
Mm.
because here's what everybody did, and this
Mm.
is such an important part of the story. Like you'll hear the housing narrative that says we stopped building after the GFC and we're short 6 million homes. It's like, okay, but have you taken a little gander at the fact that we're not having babies at replacement rate anymore? Have you looked at the fact that the boomers, unfortunately, between 2025 and 2035, 15.6 million will leave us, and they own the majority of the homes,
Right.
and then another 26 million from 2035 to 2050. Did you take that into consideration? And then the other thing, it's like, did you actually look at the housing stock right now? We have, per the census, 15 million vacant homes, not abandoned, vacant. That does not include the over 3 million seasonal properties. Of which probably people estimate we have about 2 million to 3 million Airbnbs in this country. That's probably some of those. But again, this is also lag data.
Sure.
I can tell you everywhere around me there's vacancy. Everywhere all over the
Yeah. So
country there's
one thing
vacancy.
I think is so incredible about your work is that you will go and drive to these lots. You will drive to these real estate
Yeah, these new
developments.
builds. Yep.
Yeah, and you will see
Yeah.
that they're mostly vacant or they're not.
They're mostly
Yeah.
vacant, as are the new multifamily luxury, Evergrande style, all over the country. But yeah, no, I've driven all over the country, and it's not just in the Sun Belt. A lot of people will say that. And I've just seen miles and miles and miles of empty new build developments. And so I went out on the road in January 23 because I just couldn't understand what everybody was saying about this housing shortage. I wrote an article called Debunking the Inventory Shortage
Right.
Myth, and but still I nobody would believe me, so I I went out to all of these markets. I got pictures, we've gotten drone footage. These things are going to be bulldozed. I mean, that's how many we've built. And so finally, after there's you have to triangulate. You have to look at how much multifamily did we build, how much single family. Then they did this thing, build for rent, that they did. But the way that you can just do this in simple math is take our population and divide it by housing units. And this is where I ask people, what do you think the average household size is today in the United States?
Oh, I have no
Any
idea.
clue?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, when I was growing up, it was
Four.
4.4,
Yeah.
four point
Okay.
two. That was the average household size. And people would always make a joke, or when it went to 3.5, like the half's, a pet or something
Sure.
like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's at about 2.55.
Oh wow.
2.55. So that's a couple and half a kid, right? And so I have a friend, Kitty Cat PhD, who says, is the goal to get to one house per person? Because what kind of society is that really going to be?
Right.
So for the longest time, that number was going down. It's now stopped. And I have a feeling we're about to see it grow, that average household size grow again, because people are having to make really hard choices. Like, for instance, I moved my mom in with me as opposed to buying her a new home, which I had considered, but it just didn't make any economic sense now with property taxes and insurance increasing. So you're having a lot of consolidation, because what we saw in COVID was we kind of pulled forward demand. We pulled the millennials forward a little bit faster because of all that stimulus, which, it wasn't their $1,600 check or whatever that was. It was their parents getting the PPP money. I
Right.
mean, it was
Right. Sure.
their parents getting the ERC money, or an
Right. Right.
EIDL
Right.
loan or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we pulled forward that demand. I cannot tell you how many 30-year-olds I've heard they're like, yeah, I bought this house to fix and flip. And Yeah, I haven't been able to do anything with it because everything just got too expensive, but everyone was doing
A
this. It
hundred
is
percent. No, I
crazy.
hear that. I
It was
mean, I'm in my
crazy.
early 30s. I hear this all over.
Yeah.
Um, you talk about hard choices. I mean, there's another graph I wanted to mention. Let me see if I can pull it up and can you see this? This is about the most common living situation for young adults in both Britain and America. It used to be living as a couple with children. Today, it's living with their parents. I think a lot of people are having to choose to live with their parents because the
Correct.
financial reality does not
Correct.
make sense. And I wonder,
Correct.
I wanna,
Which is why
uh,
they're not having babies.
exactly. Yeah, I think there's
Correct.
a strong tie in that, and why they're, looking for political change so dramatically in either
Correct.
direction. I mean, it
Correct.
doesn't. They're not feeling served by the government. Um,
Correct.
so I want to ask you, I want to see where this is sort of heading because the picture you're describing is one that cannot stand. It can't, the
Correct.
financial reality doesn't make sense. So I want to see what you see. Like how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, so it is one of the biggest reason I think that nobody wants to accept as to why home prices haven't gone down is because of the narrative out there in mainstream media. I mean, they are just, and what I've finally realized as well, and I feel like a useful idiot after following this data religiously, is that they're modeling the numbers. These aren't actual results. And I've now caught it several times, meaning that we don't have any good gauges of what's really going on out there. And so, but to your point, the narrative is breaking because everybody can see all the for sale signs in their
Right.
neighborhoods,
Or you go on
and
Zillow and it's like price cut,
correct.
price cut, price cut, price cut, price cut. Yeah,
Right.
everything is,
Right. Yet
yeah.
somehow NAR, our National Association of Realtors, says that the median list price is exactly the same as it was a year ago, 2 months in a row. How's that possible? Like it's not even statistically possible.
Right,
Okay.
right, right, right.
So so they just won't give up. They won't give up. And
Speaking of NAR, wait,
unfortunately,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
go
I
ahead.
want to make
No,
sure I
go
get these
ahead. Go
questions
ahead.
that
Keep
so now I remember vividly them saying things like survive till 25 in
yeah.
24 and marry the house,
Date the
date the
rate.
rate.
Date the
Yeah,
rate.
yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
the rates, even though interest rates have been cut by Jerome Powell, the mortgage rates haven't gone down. I think they've
That's
actually
correct.
possibly even gone up. And uh, yeah, so none of what they said is true in 24. But how are they survive? Is it now survive till 26? What are they saying now that none of those things paid off? We're near the end of the year.
I don't think I think they're in this weird place where they know that the only way they're going to get people to the market is to talk about price cuts. So I get like 800 emails about price cuts from these various listing sites, but I think they still believe that if they get you in the door, they can get the price they really want. And so they're in this weird moment where they're just kind of praying and hoping and praying that I call it hopium, right? That the bond market
Hey, you
will
fit in right on
respond.
Twitch. Everyone says hopium here. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, but because I mean, for 3 years, my industry has been saying, yeah, rates are coming down. I'm like, firstly, you don't understand mortgage rates. And how can you be in this industry and not understand them? The Fed doesn't control them, the bond market does. And the bond market has told the Fed to go pound sand.
Yeah,
They've done 150, basis points of cuts. On average, mortgage rates right now are 2 basis points lower since they started cutting.
right.
But actually, as of today, that's not even true anymore. So, I think that this narrative is starting to break. What we're hearing is, defaults are regional, which was a narrative back during the GFC. And that's what they say. Well, Florida and Texas, they're a problem. And that's what everybody would say to me. And that's where I started because that's where the problem was. But I'm like, no, 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 California's in trouble.
So that's
So
what I've said on because I want to be safe when I make any proclamations. I'm like,
yeah.
Florida and Texas clearly seem like they
Oh,
drastically
it's so
overbuilt.
bad.
The demand is not there that it was, but I don't. Can you speak more to the rest of the country? This is a broader problem.
Sure. Yeah. So California, we got to look at California. Like, firstly, how can you make the argument that everyone is leaving California to come to these cities? And believe me, each one of those cities built as if every California or New Yorker was coming to their city, and yet think that California home prices are going to sustain at these higher prices when you've had like in LA County over 300,000 people leave.
Right.
Like that's but again, people think there's a housing shortage because there's a housing mismatch because out in California what a lot of it is you have these mom and pop investors and so there's not a lot of owner occupiers out there. It's much lower than the national average. And so in California you have many problems. You have the affordability problem, you have the demographic problem, but their narrative was so strong that has completely cracked. San Diego, for instance, where people told me because of the DoD that was never going to be in trouble. You can look at all of the Airbnbs there over 12,000 and know absolutely they're in trouble. And you're seeing it year over year price declines. So we move out across the country from the South to California, the Midwest. They are going to take probably the longest. It'll be between the Midwest and Northeast to really correct because every investor who was kind of bummed out in 2022 when rates rose,
Yeah.
we're told go buy in the Midwest because those homes are still cheap. So you can still cash flow and buy there. So they did. So you are just now starting to see inventory grow there again. And Indianapolis is in a lot of trouble. A lot of people bought there. So that story is of two things. It's one, it's going to be later because there was a lot more investor activity after 2022 than everywhere else. And then two, demographics. Everywhere in the Midwest suffers from negative
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
demographics. And then you come over to the Northeast and they have just lost the plot. I mean, it's just, this idea that they're just immune from like New York City, but it's because people don't leave their houses anymore and just walk around. The last time I walked New York from top to bottom, I'd lived there for 7 years. I hadn't done that in a long time because you fly in for your meeting and you fly out.
Sure.
City's empty. It's empty. It's empty. Like, of course, not in Times Square. Of course, in these tourists, but nobody is there compared to what it was like when I lived there in the early 2000s. And so and why is there an apartment shortage? Because of a 2019 law that said you can only raise rent a certain percentage. And all these, if you have, oh my gosh, the frozen rent, what is it called? I can't remember, but you know what I'm talking
Rent
about.
stabilization, I think, right? That's the
Yeah, rent stabilization.
yeah.
Yeah. And they couldn't even make the repairs that they had to make to meet code. And so I've heard upwards to 100,000 apartments sitting empty off the market because they can't afford to make the repairs. They're just hoping the law will change so that they can charge enough rent to be able to make those repairs.
Right.
Like it's insane. And then unfortunately, I have to be honest about what happened in some of these Midwest and Northeastern markets is they did a lot of subsidizing of our illegal immigrant population. And so, for instance, in Chicago, you could get $15,000 to go towards your rent. So that impacts, the rental market definitely impacts the ownership market as well. And then in places like,
Well, sure,
Portland,
because what you're saying is that a lot of these houses are being bought by investors who think they can make a profit off renters
correct,
with the rising
correct.
rents. So,
Correct,
in an
correct.
environment of falling rents and
Right.
less population, it doesn't math out anymore. And they plan these out. I mean, I assume they penciled this out for 10, 20 years. I mean, they planned this to work, right? When they've made the
Well, they
purchase.
did,
Yeah.
but most of them weren't
Or they
looking
didn't
10,
care. They
20
didn't.
years. I mean, they were just watching whatever influencer. And I mean, I just got off the phone with one who, unfortunately, she's lost all of her investment except for one property out of 10, which she's likely going to lose that too because, they just saw these influencers. They just got a brochure that said,
It sounded good, right?
invest in
Yeah.
Arizona. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't blame anybody. I mean, honestly, like if you didn't know what you were doing, you had a little extra cash, like it sounded smart, right? And then you had a bank telling you that that was right and a program that said you can make that much money. Like you always need to do more due diligence than that. But I also understand why it happened to a lot of people. So anyway, you've got false demand in all of these markets. Is one of the things. Plus, you have these aging demographics. I mean, the Northeast is in so much trouble. And we will see it there. It's just gonna
Can
and
I
already we're
uh,
seeing it in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and places like that. But go ahead.
can I ask you a question? So this is a thought you might have while listening to what you're saying, especially if you're someone who's young who can't get on the property ladder. You're talking about the possible pain of someone who gambled on a Airbnb, someone who's a boomer who owns too many homes. Like, I do get it. This is real pain, and this is people who are lied to and made decisions that were financially beneficial. But I think there's a sense of like, well, they had it coming, and I want my housing prices down, and I want a chance to get on the ladder too. Like, what do you think
Mhm.
about that? Is that yeah? I guess I'm trying to understand from a young person's POV. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I mean, listen, we can't wish harm on others.
yeah,
And let's not dance about it, right?
mhm,
But we can't have a society where people don't have they can't believe in the American dream. I mean, shelter is a primary need. Now, I think a lot of people want to get a home ownership for all the wrong reasons. They think that that home is going to appreciate. And that's going to be how they're going to make their wealth. Unfortunately, because that's what a lot of these Airbnb bros did is they took out home equity.
yeah,
They did a cash out refinance. Unfortunately, what I'm describing with our demographics are fortunately, but for some, unfortunately, is that your median home price is going to attract your median income. It's not going to be this windfall. It's going to be that you're going to be able to afford shelter and pass that down to your children. But what I am saying is good news because it has to become affordable again because all of these investors are now in hot water and they can't cash flow. So this is good news for those that are really trying to make good financial decisions, which means don't get into debt. I mean, like everybody else, I say no to debt slavery because that's how you're going to be priced out is if you are going out using buy now pay later and just
amen,
overextending yourself.
yeah,
Like, so if you make the smart choices and you save and you really kind of even short-term treasuries or even just a savings rate or money market account, and you save this money, you are going to be able to take advantage of this, all of these headwinds to housing, and there's a lot of housing out there. So, it to me, that is the good news of the story, but there is a lot of pain coming for people who most of their wealth is kind of, baked into that home and their perspective. It's called the wealth effect, right?
right.
Is how they try to get us to spend more.
So in this story, and you've told this story over decades. It is a decades long story of us getting here. The recurring theme is that when things are tough, the government will step in to bail out people who have made these bad mistakes on housing. So what I guess my question is what makes you think it won't happen again now in 2025, 2026? This
They
feels
because
like
they already have. So firstly, one, they already have. The people that were able to save it last time, they can't make any money in this market. That's the institutional investors. They're now net selling. In fact, the government will likely start buying from them. I mean, that's what I foresee how the government will intervene is they'll probably start buying these homes from the builders and the institutional investors are partnering with them with some sort of affordable program. They've already passed it, some of this in the BBB, not saying they're going to buy, but these
sure.
affordable housing programs, if you're at this point of adjusted in gross income, below the poverty level, you'll be eligible. So I think they're going to do a lot of that. But here's the thing, like the only other thing they can do is give out homes. And do you want to be that person? Because the pitchforks will come out. So I think we're at the point where our younger generations are angry enough that there's all there and also they've backed themselves into a corner
Sure.
of what they possibly can't because there is nobody that can come in and save this with all the dynamics as they are right now. Your Blackstone cannot get cheap funds anymore to go out and buy these homes so that they cash flow because the insurance and taxes are too high. And so they're really out of options, but they'll probably get more involved. They'll probably buy these up and start becoming sellers of homes, but that's not going to change the demographics. And ultimately, this current administration did put guardrails on that crazy FHA program, and that's going to make a huge difference in the market to the point that we're going to start to see foreclosures again, and we're already starting to see them. So I honestly lay in bed every night thinking about how they could intervene to keep this from happening, and I don't believe they have any options to do it. And printing money won't work because that just means prices go up. And so we've heard, right?
Yeah.
Our top 10% is responsible for 50% of consumption. We've heard that number. Well, if our top 10% could save the housing market,
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Right at the key part. Oh, brother. I'm broke. I look broke. Here, let me dude, that's crazy. Wait, I really wanted to hear what you had to say there. I'm not upgrading the Pro Zoom. Okay. I'm going to get another link. Meeting info. Let me message her right now. That's crazy. Guys, if you have any more questions, I'd love to ask her. I mean, okay. Let me see.
Here I am.
Melody, I'm so sorry. I have the free version of Zoom and it put a time limit on me. This is
That's what I figured happened. No problem.
okay.
No
Wait,
problem.
let me pull it back up. Okay.
And we were talking.
I'm sorry. It was right at a good point too. I was.
I know. Oh, we were all
Okay.
talking about. We were talking about government intervention.
Yes.
Oh, so if the top 10% could save the housing market,
Yes.
why haven't they done it? I mean, we had the lowest sales last year we've seen since 1995, and we've increased population by 20%. And we now know illegal immigrants were participating at the tune of 6%. So if they could save it, why haven't they? Because they still have to rent to you and me.
Right.
And if we can't pay those rents, then what,
There's nowhere else.
they're not going to do. And that's why you can see luxury sitting all over the country. Like it is sitting. There's nobody to buy this because in 21, everybody thought we were getting rich. That wasn't true. It was very temporary and wages stagnated again. And so all these builders built for luxury, built like spec homes for $13 million. It's crazy town. My point is, why would you, as a rich person, carry an asset that makes no money, is an albatross around your neck that you don't live in, and maybe you go once a year? You're not going to do that and stay rich. That's how you get poor. And what really rich people know how to do is stay rich. And so they can't save the housing market. The institutional investors can't save the housing market. The government likely, like I say, will come in and probably take those off of people's balance sheets in one form or another. Maybe they give them a lending facility like they did with SVB and say, yeah, we're going to say it's 100%. We know it's really 25%, but you can, we'll fund it for you while you get back on your feet.
Sure.
But my point is, there are no options left. And unless the robots need houses, and right now they can't even give away Halloween candy successfully, like we are facing headwinds that we just can't get around right now. Especially when we realize that most of our population increase was immigration last year.
Sure.
And that's, of course, not happening at the scale it was. So,
I mean, I do see, if you go on like some of these subreddits or people trying to talk about selling their house, they're all desperate. They're all like,
oh, yeah.
some of them are
Yeah.
underwater on their mortgage and they
yeah.
can't cut the price anymore
Right.
and they don't know how to. So it is.
I was at a conference 3 weeks ago where all they were talking about were short sales. Like it's exploded overnight. And a short sales where you go to the bank, please, please, please let me out. You have to take less money than what I owe you, but can you please let me out? Like that's a short sale. And so that's exploding right now. And the fact, until we get increased sales, we're not going to see these price declines. That's when NAR's going to have to admit what's happening. But right now you have the top 1 to 10% participating, buying up the higher price homes. And you did have FHA, which was propping up a higher price home than it should because it was giving all these compensating factors to lower income borrowers. But that, you can see credit restricting across the system right now. And so as that happens, that's when we're going to start to get true price discovery. Because if you can't refinance, you can't get a loan modification because you are so underwater, and you can't sell, then distress. And I'm seeing it already. That's when you go into foreclosure.
So is this happening like now? You think now into 26?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's happening right now. I'm seeing distressed sellers all over. They get that foreclosure. I mean, even so Black Knight Ice industry reporting company foreclosure starts are up double digits year over year, as are sales. And you only need one of these in a neighborhood to impact your comparables, which means that as these increase, which we know that they are going to, because of the distress, because of the layoffs, because this program has guardrails on it now and FHA, that is going to put a lot of pressure on prices. And I would say by Q2 2026, we're going to have a material foreclosure population. Even now in the 85 cities I track, I can see them all over in every single city, but they got to sell. Once they sell, this is the pressure just keeps on these prices. And
How,
as those distressed sellers continue, go ahead.
so how, in your estimation, and nobody knows the answer to this, so I'm just trying to get a general sense of how big you see this is. This feels like there's a lot of contagion here because we're seeing the same type of thing in auto. We're seeing it in commercial real estate. We're seeing it. I mean, people are defaulting on their student loans at record high. There's defaults in almost every aspect of debt. And so I personally thought housing was one where we were going to see less of it. But what you're telling me is that it's just as bad, if not worse. How?
Yeah. And it's so much bigger pie of the debt, so much bigger pie. The Fed came out with a household debt and credit report today, and you can just see the bars of here's student loans, here's auto, and the mortgage is like, you know. So I call it the big orange because on that Fed schedule it's orange, and
Yeah.
I say when the big orange gets in trouble, we're all gonna be in trouble. And it's kind of funny, it's orange man, anyway. But that's it. It's yeah, it is gonna. It is really bad. And I think because I have the background in credit, and I understand credit in a way that a lot of people don't, that I can see what's happening because people think, oh, it's subprime. But no, when I started in 2006, yes, subprime was a problem, but then you saw it hit prime as they came under stress for the very same things: increase insurance, increase property tax, except it's exponential now, but also then job loss. And we are definitely seeing white collar get,
Yeah.
I mean, these just
Decimated.
decimated with these layoffs announcements. And I don't think it's going to stop. And it has nothing, in my opinion, to do with AI. I have that background as well. So yeah, I think it's much worse. It's an everything bubble. And honestly, it feels like with what's been happening recently, kind of with the first brands
Yeah.
in auto, all of the cockroaches, and then you layer on that SNAP recipients aren't going to get all their food stamps, like it, and the government shut down. It feels like we're in a scheduled demolition. I mean, this is really crazy stuff, and
You're scaring us, Melody.
I know. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, don't
But that is
apologize.
why
Yeah.
I changed my like 3 years ago, I changed my life completely because I could see this coming, and it was just math. You just looked at the math. If your median household can't afford like the median price of a home, like,
Something will
and
eventually correct. Like there's just no, yeah,
correct.
yeah.
And it's like, and we can't all go on vacation like we did with revenge travel, after COVID. Tourism is down. Like Las Vegas right now is getting pummeled. I mean, if you took a little trip out there, it would terrify you. Absolutely terrify you. What you would see. Looks like somebody's behind you with
Oh, oh, it's my father-in-law. Uh, he didn't
You're
know I was doing
funny.
an interview. Okay. Listen, I think that is the key thing I wanted to talk about anyway, and we got to our main point. I do have one small question just for me personally, which is about you mentioned property taxes, and I want to hear your thoughts on this because in some of these areas, I think like Florida and others, Texas maybe, they're like politically becoming unpopular, even though they're like the only way the state is funded. And so they're like
Right.
imploding these property taxes, which is like the last tax that the boomers who have the wealth in the area are paying. It feels ridiculous, but I want to know, am I missing something or like what is this part of this constant like um government assistance to keep things
Yes.
okay.
So through the American
Uh,
Rescue Act, like something like $350 billion went out to the cities and state. I mean, which is why you got so many down payment assistance programs, and why I thought like the Harris $25,000 down payment. Yeah, you could already get that in every city across the country, like through one of these programs,
Sure.
because the American Rescue Act went out and you could create these like home affordable programs, things like that. But all of these cities thought they were getting rich forever. Like this is the mentality. And so they spent like drunken sailors, and they like created, like families would create a nonprofit to sit next to this money and get it. Like out in San Diego, the OLOT, for instance, they get a big grant from the government to run that homeless camp. And so all these different, but they just thought they were going to get rich. And then they looked at, oh, Nashville, 100 people are moving here every day. Number one, that was never true. Number two, a lot of that was temporary, but they would do these calculations like if 100 people are moving here, then I'm going to get X amount of property taxes. And so they would calculate number one, that a whole bunch of people were going to move there.
This is the
And
city
then number
governments?
two, yeah, the
Okay,
city
yeah.
governments.
Yeah.
And that number two, that home prices would continue to go up because that's what everybody believed. And so in their little, funny math minds, they were going to be rich forever. And so they spent like that. But now you can go to all of these cities and they are bankrupt. I mean, they are in budget deficits.
Yeah.
The Chicago bonds are like got kicked out of their muni fund. Like, I mean, these places are desperate. And so you're right. I think it's hilarious. To watch it become such a political button issue.
Yeah.
And there is going to be a limit to what they can actually do. I mean, there's just going to be a limit
All
because
right.
they
Well,
need the revenue.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no. Yeah, I don't be sorry. I really appreciate you laying this out, and I think this is what a lot of people want and need to hear. But I want to end on hopefully not a happier note, but
It's a happier note,
an
I
interesting one.
think.
I wanna hear if you have any advice, because the people we're talking to right now are probably 18 to 32, in that range. They aren't, or maybe just started on the housing. They're trying to figure out what to do with housing. Uh, what is your advice for them financially, and do you see signs of life for them in the field? Like where's your head out for that?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
sound like their grandmother right
Okay.
now, but
Okay.
it's important. It's really important because I made all these mistakes when I was their age. I had no financial education. I signed up for student loans, like I'll be able to pay that, no problem. My credit card was at the same little booth at my first day of college as the student loans. You just went from there to there, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did a whole bunch of really stupid things. So I'm not the kind of person sitting there that hasn't done all these stupid things. I'm talking from experience, but say no to the labubu. Like say no to the FOMO and the YOLO. Like you only live once. That's right. Do you want to be destitute? Living by yourself, or being home? I mean, so firstly, get a financial education. Like, seek somebody out like myself or others who are not just trying to make a buck off you. Like if you sign up for my Substacks, for instance, the free version always has the whole argument laid
Yeah,
out.
I will say, for people watching, her Substack is truly incredible. It is a great way to keep up with what's going on in America's housing market and broader financial situation. It's pretty fascinating. So
Thank
I'll
you.
link
And you
it in
can
the video description. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But they can get a lot of it for free.
Okay.
So get a financial education. Say no to debt. Say no to buy now, pay later. It does matter. And also, don't. I think one of the things I used to believe is like, of course, my paycheck's just going to keep going up and up and up. I'm a capable person. I work hard. I'm never going to be laid off. Well, that's just not the reality. Once you get to a certain age, you become a liability to a company, and you will be the first out the door no matter how productive you are. So my point, don't bank on always
I
having
mean,
that
even if you're
job.
not, even age out of it, it feels like this is a time where you could be talented and great, and the broader winds of the economy can hit you
Yeah, I think
without notice. Yeah. Yeah.
18 to 24-year-old are at a 9% unemployment rate right now. I mean, it's something just
Yeah.
crazy. I mean,
Astronomical.
crazy. Yeah. So, also I would say this is a big one for when we go into downturn is, keep learning, get new skills, teach yourself things so that you can quickly sort of change direction if you have to, if you lose your job, things like that. So say no to debt, save, get a financial education, and get more skills
And if you
because you're
do
going to
do
need
these
them.
things, if you do feel like you've gotten yourself on some sort of stable ground, you're saying that you think the people that have gambled incorrectly on the housing, we're going to lose money on it, and it is going to get cheaper, and there is going to be ability to get a house.
Absolutely.
All right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
And that is the good news.
Melody, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate you coming on.
No,
Hopefully, we can talk to you
thank
again
you
in the
so much
future
for having me.
as more of this
Oh,
unravels.
absolutely. Anytime.
Thank
Anytime.
you
Thank
much.
you so much.
Have a
All
good rest
right.
of your day.
You
Bye,
too. Bye.
guys. That was great. A little spooky. She didn't pull any punches, but I really appreciated that. I will link her Substack as we make a clip of that. I know some of it, especially at the beginning, was a little in the weeds. That's an interview thing for me. I gotta make sure to start broad so everyone can follow along, and then get into more detailed stuff. I often flip it, but I feel like she really got some good stuff in that interview. I feel like, and I can't overstate enough how much she does the actual work. That's why I'm always looking for Substacks and people who are experts in their field. She's one of the best ones I ever found because she actually drives out to these damn places, talks to the developers, talks to the buyers, talks to the sellers, talks to NAR, like understands the level of, fraud and deception and reality going on in these part of these markets. So, cool. And she said hopium too, which is great. I'm in the Dallas housing market. It's so crazy right now. I mean, I was aware. I've been aware that Florida and Texas are horrible. They drastically, like, if you just look on Zillow in those areas, there's everything is for sale and it's all getting price cuts all the time. Nobody can afford the prices that they're at there. They're going to crash for sure. But she's telling me that it's broader than that. So what you're saying is all Zoomers are bum? I think that's not what she was saying. I think she was saying that, it may seem like it's not worth it to fucking, be safe with your money, avoid debt, but it will be. And I think sooner rather than later. I think like being smart and understanding is going to matter as these bad decisions unwind. These bad debt decisions that have been propping up a lot of things since COVID unwind. How long is the waiting game? She was talking about 26. I mean, well, we got to see. I remain. I just feel like we never know how much the government can do to extend and pretend, but she knows more than me. But I would say, and I'm not knocking anybody who's doing this. I know we have people in that age, but I think, man, buying top of market right now is a big risk. Big fucking loan right now, huge 30-year mortgage right now at these prices feels crazy to me. It does. And if you're going to live there a long time, whatever. I'm not making your life choices for you, but man, that does feel crazy. Do you agree when she says housing supply isn't a real problem? I think I fully agree with her on the market she's talking about. We didn't really get specifics. I still think parts of cities that still have inflow, obviously there's still a supply issue, 100%. Really, really desirable real estate areas, there's obviously a supply issue. But on a broad scale, it does track that there was insane amounts of building in a ton of these states of people that thought they could build it, flip it, Airbnb it, investors that, all that stuff. And they're not finding the demand there that they thought at those prices. Why didn't you talk about metaverse housing? That's a solution. There's a solution. A little metaverse housing. Let's live in the damn metaverse. In Boston, we block people building apartments to keep shadows from going into McDonald's parking lots. I don't want to see an ounce of shade if I'm in a McDonald's parking lot. Her Substack bio is GFC1 survivor. That's funny. When are you going to Japan? This weekend. This weekend. Say the housing market crashes, won't there be far-reaching consequences and downturns? Again, like I was trying to ask, and I don't think she knows the answer. I don't think I know the answer, to be honest. Were this realistically to continue, if auto defaults keep rising, housing defaults keep rising, housing price cuts continue, commercial real estate defaults keep like if this stuff keeps going in the direction it's going, then it's all connected. There will be big consequences, right? I mean, I work in commercial real estate lending, and it's crazy watching everyone at the bank here adjusting internal covenants to prolong issues not to call a loan. This is what I'm talking about. That's why I got to make the video with Bill Moreland. This is the core of it, is that so many loans have been given out, and then rather than admit that they can't be paid back, they are just doing so many complicated ways to pretend. They are so many complicated ways to adjust and pretend and make it look on the books like the loan is still being paid. Even, dude, some of you have told me this, but this is true for even people that have big buy now, pay later debt. If you call into Klarna or Affirm, they're giving you options to like extend and pretend like you can pay it back. They're giving you extensions. They're finding ways to make it seem like they don't, because if they have to write you off on their books that you are a lost cause, that you are a defaulted loan, that impacts them. So everyone is trying to like just hold and hope everything gets back to everyone can afford their loans. My friends and I have been sweating to be able to buy a house, but I'm not as worried after watching this interview. Rent is out of my city. I think that is the point of what she said, just to be clear. Not that it won't be with some pain, but like the idea that these housing prices are sustainable is pretty crazy. And she's just being dead honest about it. It was a fiction based on free money from COVID. I didn't pay my car for like 2 months and then started paying like normal. They don't seem to care at all. Yeah, they're just not calling it in, bro. I mean, some of them are. The repos are working like crazy. Were the correction to happen in housing, where does that money go? Is that paper wealth lost? Yeah, it's a great question. I want to try and explain how this works. So I think I did this for the China thing, but that was 2 years ago. Look, man, let's just show you like a fucking, here, look at this. No, it's too small. Wait, give me a picture. Perfect. Give me this. Here, this will do. This is a Shutterstock photo. No, I need something that doesn't have a Shutterstock. Here, okay, that's fine. Put this in Paint. Look. Let's say it's a neighborhood, right? You have one of these houses. You bought it for $750,000. This is your house. Wow, look at you. $750K. Okay? So you feel like you have a $750K asset. This is money that you feel like is part of your wealth. Okay? You probably have a fucking $600K liability or whatever as far as debt, but you have $750K asset. And you're the last person to buy in this neighborhood, which means based on comps, the average housing price here is $750K. Everybody in this neighborhood feels like, maybe this guy bought it at $500. Now it's $750 because when you bought it. Like the last sold house in the neighborhood sort of sets the price. So everybody feels like they have a ton of money. $750. I feel like I'm up in my house. My housing price is up. Now, if one person cracks and sells as prices fall, as there is no demand, this person has to move. This person has a divorce. This person has to sell. And they sell for $500K, $450K. Let's go red, $450K. $450K. Okay? This person sells. Now that's the new last comp. Now all of a sudden these are marked down. You look at your housing price, you're underwater. If you bought late, you're underwater. Everybody, they've all lost this money, but that's not, it just disappeared. It's like the collapse of the wealth effect. It doesn't go to anyone. It's just that the demand for this neighborhood, for housing in general, it doesn't exist in the way you thought it was. So that's the idea. And then once you're underwater, once you have a $450K house, but you're paying like a $700K mortgage, a lot of people abandon this is what happens in the GFC. People start stopping their payments. They stop paying, they default, they leave the house, which causes more sales, which causes the prices to go down. It's a reverse doom loop. So again, if you don't own a house, while this is scary and not good for the economy, I do agree with her, but it's like, there's going to be opportunities for, I think, good houses at more realistic prices. Because I do agree that this is unsustainable. The price is going up and up and up and up, way above the actual income of the people who are supposed to be buying them. It's crazy. People can't afford it. But who's selling? Everyone. They're all trying to sell, bro. Everyone's trying to get out. Just look at dude, look. The problem is they haven't cut enough to still move the sale. So number of sales, like here's like fucking, this is from June, dude. Share of homes with price cuts by area. Dude, massive spikes in Florida, in Texas. The yellow is smaller, but share of homes for sale with a price cut in June 25. This is from June. It's gotten way worse since June. But it's spiking up all over the country. But they haven't cut it enough yet. People still don't want to buy. The number of people backing out of home sales is at all-time highs. People are like signing up to buy a home and then backing out the last second because they get cold feet. That's happening. People feel like they can wait and get a better deal. And so there's panic. Panic is starting to spread among not only the bigger housing investors that bought up a ton of stock. She mentioned they're net sellers, but the Airbnb people, people that moved to a different state, people that bought second homes. All these people are realizing like, oh, fuck. I can't afford the mortgage on this. And I can't rent it out the way I thought I would. Or the price is not going up. You think Trump will do a second stimulus? I kind of do. I don't know that she said that she couldn't think of other things they could do. I feel like Trump's going to go back to stimmy checks, full on printing, buying mortgage-backed securities. I feel like we're going to see. I feel like we're going to see more than anything is bad inflation again. That's my biggest worry is that they go fucking desperate to prop it up and we get insane inflation. That's my biggest. But or you do like Canada and you start getting like it's like no one can afford the payment on a 30-year mortgage, so you start adding 40-year mortgages, 50-year mortgages. so you can make the payment smaller, so people can, like, you start doing anything like that so you can keep people's ability to buy at these prices possible. Yeah, juke the stats. But according to her, they've been juking the stats for a while, and the bill's now due. Like, it's no longer, you can't juke it anymore. And she definitely knows more than me, so could definitely be right. And it does feel like you can definitely see the difference this year. Over the course of this year, the rising panic among sellers, the price cuts getting more extreme, all that stuff. The rising defaults. As an Aussie, you'd be surprised how long they can juice it. I mean, 100%. Australia and Canada are great examples of, like, bro, if they want to juice it, they'll juice it. So I fully respect and admire her expertise, but I am still a little skeptical that they can't find a way to juice it. But not coffee, tea. It's actually lean. I'm sorry, it's lean. My friends are now moving into this house someone our age bought 5 years ago because she now can't afford it. Yeah, again, I don't want to. I'm not calling anyone out specifically, but I do hear this from people around me in my life. Old friends I went to college with. People were like, "Hey, I got a place, and I was told the mortgage rates would go down so I could refinance and get a lower payment, and I can't do that, and it's getting to the point where it's uncomfortable. Like I can't realistically keep making this payment. Like I need to." And that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that spooks me because, I don't know. If it tracks with what we're seeing in auto and in credit cards and in buy now, pay later and in all of this, man. I gotta talk to Steve Eisman again to cheer me up. Maybe I might go on his show later this month. Do mortgage rates not follow Fed cuts at all? It's a great question. Normally there's a connection, but what's been happening lately? I mean, what they really follow is the U.S. 10-year. Okay, this is what mortgage rates usually follow, and this is not what Jerome Powell can cut. This is just based on people buying and selling U.S. debts, the bond market, people that believe or don't believe in the U.S. IOUs. And despite the fact that they keep cutting the short-term interest rate, the 10-year remains stubborn. You know, it's not going down. It's staying right here. And so interest rates for mortgages are not going down. People's payments are still high. And that's and what this reflects is like investors, other countries, the world not believing or just requiring, not believing in the promises of the United States' debt. It's like the simple way to put it. Like they require a bigger interest rate to loan money to the United States. Now, if there was a big, normally, at least in my lifetime, when there is like if there was a crash of some sort, if the stock market was down or if the housing market was down, people usually flee to government debt, and this would bring this down. But maybe they don't go to the United States this time. Maybe they go elsewhere. Maybe, I don't know. I live in Austin. I consistently see huge price cuts for homes that were much more expensive a year ago. I'm super tempted to get something due to the deals I'm seeing. Should I wait it out longer? Again, I can't tell you specifics because I don't know. I don't think Melody knows either, but I think based on that conversation, she would tell you at least wait till Q2 26. That's what she would tell you. Because it seems like they're in a process of true hitting the wall. She did call her shot. and I don't, 20, 30 years in here in the industry. I think that is a fair, I mean, it's your choice and your call. And again, I do think it's fair to say, like, if you're going to live in a place for 10 years plus, at the end of the day, fuck it. Like, whatever. You'll ride it out. You want to live, but it is the biggest financial purchase of your life. And I do think prices are materially too high right now. They're not real. Can you do more EU-friendly streams? This is an EU-friendly stream, right? I'm doing it today because, number one, I have the interview with Melody. But number two, I'm going to the Lakers game tonight where he's going to beat Wemby's ass. Luka. So I am calculated based on that. Big A, I have 4K in Counter-Strike skins that rose after the update. Should I sell everything right now based on your conversation? Yeah, I think what Melody was trying to say is that if you hold an AWP Dragon lore, you better hold on to that because that's a high-value appreciating asset. But if you're holding a butterfly knife, it might be better to let that one go. I think that was a big part of what she was talking about. So just, it really depends on the skin. This is how the rich stay rich. It's unfortunate. She had graphs. I should have asked her more. I couldn't get my graphs to show correctly, and then she didn't get to show her graphs, but I'm going to show them anyway. Fuck it. Here's a couple. The typical U.S. renter is older than they've ever been. 72% of the U.S. renter population is age 30 or older, an all-time high. And that is because young people are just living with parents more. Okay? So not only, normally around your 30s, you'd be able to buy a house. But the age of first-time home buyers has hit 40, which is absolutely fucking insane. First-time home buyer at 40. We are just denying people the normal markers of life that they have been promised around your 20s and 30s where you can get a home, start a family. We are just pushing that out to literally 40, which is like late career, bro. That's crazy. No wonder people are fucking pissed. No wonder. It's like I just can't stand when people are like, I don't understand the rise of Mom Donnie or whatever. It's like, bro, this is the fucking exact reason. People are fucking screaming for this number to change. Late career streamer brain. Well, obviously your career can go on well past 40, but it's, let's say mid to late, whatever. If you're 40, you're through a good chunk of your career, right? You're not late, maybe is the wrong word. Okay. You have plenty of years left. I'm not saying it's over, but 40 is, for 40 to be your first time home buyer is a huge change. From how the American dream used to be promised, right? And this certainly has got people frustrated. This is in the UK. This is in the US. No, I mean, you're seeing so much anger in the UK too. It's like, bro, 40% of 18 to 34 living with their parents? Is that what you were promised? Is that it feels like to these people correctly that they're getting a worse deal than their parents. They're getting a worse deal than the generation before them, which is true. Oh, perfect graph too. So I want to kick off here. Look, in 20, 21, 22, if the yellow line is above the blue line, that means there's more buyers than sellers. This is what people were thinking of when times were fucking good. When housing prices were rocketing up. There was so many fucking buyers. It was a seller's market, dude. They could raise the price every damn week. They could be very picky. There was lines out the door for every open house. Now, then it slowed down in 23 and 24. Basically no transactions. And now we're seeing rising sellers, more and more and more sellers, desperate sellers. They can't find a buyer. They have to keep cutting the prices. And I think this is what Melody's talking about. This is only going to go up, and we're going to see, increasing panic among home sellers to try and get somebody in the door. So, let me see if I have anything else. And then we talked about that. I've talked about this a million times, and I'm probably going to do another video about it. But I think the most interesting thing from her conversation was that it's not just the riskiest borrowers. It's not just the subprime. Because I've been talking about that. There's like a lot of people who've been given loans, buy now, pay later, student loans, auto loans that they can't afford, and they're completely subprime and they're going to fail. But it's worse than that. I like this graph too. It's my last graph. This is serious delinquency, 90 days plus on student loans by age. Recently, this year, we talked about it. You have to pay student loans again. It's fucking skyrocket. I'm sure a lot of you are not paying your student loans. Just based on the math, a lot of you have student loans and you're just saying, fuck it, I'm not paying. It's happening right now. Okay? And it's hitting credit scores. And it's just happening, bro. And it will mean something. I'm not the guy that's going to tell you the fucking date it's going to mean something, but it's happening so quickly. Anyway, at least our government's functioning tip-top shape. So whatever challenges may come, we've got the best and the brightest on the case. And the government is open for business, and they're working together in a bipartisan way to solve our problems. So at the very least, we can get this shit figured out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, come what may. What classifies as a serious delinquency? When you're 90 days past due. When you haven't made a single payment in 90 days, you are now in serious delinquency. Only 90? I mean, that's 3 months. 3 months of missed payments. Because most people, and I've learned this, I've talked to now lenders, and I've talked to Bill Moreland, who's a bank data expert. Most people, they flirt around the not paying line. They won't pay for a month, then they'll pay. They won't pay for a month, they'll catch back up. They're 2 weeks late, they pay. People are like, they're right around, it's like a stress sign. Okay? But they get it. Once they just stop paying, once it's like, I'm not paying for this month, and the next month, and the next month, it means they completely have given up on the ability to cover this debt, and they are basically waiting for the consequences. Whether it's credit score, whether it's repossession, they're just done. They're not going to answer your calls. That is the serious delinquency, and that is when it's a problem. And we're getting more and more of the serious delinquencies. As some home investors are saying, it's a good time to start sending incredibly insulting offers. This is great. Again, if you are in the market for a house now, send a fucking lowball offer. But please never take the listed price. If you are in the market for a house and you see one that you like, send them a lowball, because you're going to be surprised. They are desperate to move. They are desperate to move. Go under. Go 10, 15% under. Go under, dude. If there are other bidders, then of course you're not going to get it. But what I'm saying is there's not. What I'm saying is the price they're listing is not, by the way, they can fake bidders, so be careful. They might fake bidders on. They might pretend that they have a lot of demand when they don't. Be more aggressive with it. You can get better deals than you think on housing right now, and especially I think in the future. Are you saying lowball house of Zillow that's been listed for 90 days? If it's been listed for 90 plus days with price cuts, that's the best one to lowball. That means they cannot move the house. If you tell them, hey, I'm willing to move fast and close, but I want this price cut or this deal, or I want you to fix this thing or whatever. It's your market. It is a buyer's market. You can make demands. Or you have to pay for the whatever. Like if it's 90 plus days, you have all the leverage. Not in Australia. I'm not speaking about Australia because Australia's got the most fucked housing market possibly in the world. Australia's entire fucking economy is built on this insanely disgusting negative gearing law that has wormed its way into everyone's personal finances, and they can't let housing prices fall or everybody's financially underwater. I mean, in a worse, I mean, everyone's kind of got that in some way, but in Australia, it's like, it's horrendous. So I don't know. I don't know how that breaks down there, and I don't know, but I know that no government can do anything about it in Australia. Not left or right or whatever party. No party in Australia can do anything about it, or they will lose an election. Have you talked about your best friend Lena Khan's entering Mamdani's transition team? Yeah, I did talk about it briefly, but I will say it's awesome. It's a great listen. I want to mention this from what Melody Wright said too. I can't tell you the one issue that I'm still steadfast on is I know that rent freezes will be negative. It's not a fucking political thing. It's been done by Nixon. It's been done by right-wing governments. It's been by left-wing governments. It won't work. It will cause problems. But outside of that, I like the rest of his policies. I'm very excited for him. I'm excited to see a young man in office, someone who's not corrupt. And I'm very, very excited to see him pick someone like Lena Khan. Lena Khan, I think, absolute one of the best political figures in America right now. Smart, focus on the real issues, antitrust enforcement, breaking up corporate monopolies, oxygenating the market, allowing fucking small businesses to compete. I think it's a really great choice. I'm actually super, super glad he picked her. Again, it's just a transition team. I don't think it's a major, major impact, but it's a good signal. It's a good sign. What do you think about public-owned groceries? I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest. Whether or not the public-owned grocery crazily works or crazily doesn't, it's a nice experiment. It's 5 fucking city-owned grocery stores. It's New York. They have the budget for 5 grocery stores. They can do it. It's fine. I have no problem with it. It's not a big deal. Please try it. Okay? It's not going to end the world. We have so much bigger problems politically than nitpicking, things like that. I do think, unfortunately, I just do think that there's going to be negative effects for poor people with things like rent freezes. It's going to lead to housing stock degradation. It's going to lead to, like, not stocks, like as in like I don't know, what's the other word for stock? Supply? There's going to be less supply of housing, and it's going to be worse, low quality, like not maintained inventory. But I do want to say this. 3 things were passed in New York. I want to pull them up. Listen, man, I'm an optimist in general, and I am really excited about actually. Listen to this. Look at this. Look at this. I loved this. I've been researching. 3 New York City proposals passed. Okay. This one in particular, 56% of the vote. Zoning review, much more simplified. Upzoning for small scale housing on small personal land. So this is a big deal. This passed. More affordable housing projects, fast track review and approval, so it's not gets bogged down and fucking. These are good things. This is good. Okay? And if you combine this with the fact that I do think we're just going to see housing price declines in possibly all markets as this stuff unravels, there's a good chance that this could, we are going to have good outcomes with housing in general. Not the economy, though. I read an article about how rent control could be a useful tool to get political capital necessary to advance housing policies. This is totally true. I've read this article as well, and I think that's fair. But I have become disillusioned with the idea of I don't ever want to believe now, because I've tried this in the past, of someone saying something but not meaning it in order to get something real past. I think just say what's real. Okay. I get annoyed with it, but I do think it's a very popular thing to say. And if you want to say it to get the political capital and the will and the votes to make changes, fuck it. Maybe you have to do it. I'm not fine. But I prefer, and I'm just becoming more and more, I just want people to tell the truth, the hard truth. And I prefer it. But I know that's not the political great strategy way. So, but for me, I'm going to keep saying what I know is a fact. I mean, listen, again, it's not a left-right thing, man. Richard Nixon came out and said, we're going to freeze the rent in 1971. And the result was very, very fucking predictable, bro. Supply crumbled. It was terrible impacts. They had to fucking backtrack on it. They've tried it in Buenos Aires. They tried it in Berlin. They tried it every time. It's been tried many, many times, and it doesn't work. And I know that. But it's fine if you're going to pair it with other measures and it gets you the votes you need. I don't want to talk about this only one issue, because again, I'm overall very happy about this outcome. And Vienna has nothing to do with rent control, bro. It's first of all, it's population declining for fucking 50 years. So there's plenty of supply, but they also build a lot. Vienna's the opposite story. It's about building. If you want to build, I mean, you could build city-owned housing. That could work too. And that's why I like this vote we just talked about, because the problem in America with city-owned housing is that they have an insane amount of bureaucracy when building it. It takes fucking 15 years and to build what it would take, to build in China in 8 months. It takes too long. They can't get it out. Vienna population declining? It is, bro. It is. Vienna population peaked in it was like 2 million. I had a graph of this. Vienna population. It was like 2 million in 1940, and it's 2 million now. I mean, it's back to where it was. You know what I'm saying? The population of the city, when they started doing this, that's not decline. I mean, okay, sorry, it's not decline, but it's not. The reason you see massive housing prices gains in some other places because there's a huge influx of people with the same amount of supply. One thing that we never talked about with this housing stuff is how owning a home was the de facto asset for collateral when taking out a loan. Now that no one owns a home, it's basically impossible for anyone to take out a loan. This labels all forms of investment, stops new business from being formed, new jobs from being created, etc. I would say there's some truth to that, but I would say, honestly, we kind of have the opposite problem. In the past few years in America, we've had the problem of, if you want to borrow money for any reason, it's been too easy. We had a situation where it is too easy to borrow money if you want to borrow it to fucking gamble, if you want to borrow it to buy CS skins, if you want to borrow it to fucking start a money losing business, if you want to start it to, the ability to borrow money has been an all-time disgusting level of no checks. And so it's created really bad incentives and really bad outcomes. It's allowed a lot of things that make no sense to get money and keep going. And it's allowed prices of assets to go way higher than they should be. It's like the easy money has created many, many problems. And the point of the easy money was to pull forward demand and keep things good for the boomers who owned assets. And it did do that. And it's kept doing that. And it's probably going to do that as they go into the years where they're going to die. But it's leaving huge problems for the future. Huge, huge problems. Chewy, I really can't answer that question. I appreciate your question. I don't know, man, and it depends on your personal situation. And I can't give you direct advice on that. I don't know. I will say, um, you know, understand your budget, what you can afford, what you'd be comfortable doing. Understand having some buffer if things went wrong with a job or whatever, and just understand that I personally, and I think based on what Melody was saying, think that we are in a period like this, where I'm pulling this up again. Sorry, where we have more sellers than buyers, and this number is only growing. And so, if you are a buyer of housing, it is a time where you can get either a good deal or wait and nothing else. Don't take a bad deal. That's what I'm saying. To get a good deal because you have the advantage. That's what I'll say. And if you don't feel like you're getting a good deal, I would wait. If you see this change, then maybe change your mind. But the way it's trending, I would push your advantage. Dude, this is a great question. I don't know if you guys know this. The odds are showing people, the markets believe that the Supreme Court is going to rule against Trump's tariffs, that he did them illegally, that it's not the power of the president to unilaterally create all these tariffs. It should be within the power of Congress. And if this happens, it's weird because I almost don't want it to happen so he doesn't have a way to blame. I think the economy's in the fucking toilet now and it's becoming more and more obvious. And I think he's gonna be like, well, it's because they blocked my tariffs. It has nothing to do with that, but I think he's gonna say that, so I'm kind of annoyed. But the truth is, based on the law, he doesn't have the right to do these tariffs. And if they strike it down, not only is that going to have massive whipsaw effects for the markets, but number two, they have to pay back the money. They have to do repayments. If they strike down the tariffs, all the tariffs already paid have to be repaid by the government, which is going to be fucking crazy. It's going to have so many expenses, legal battles while we're in a shutdown, bro. It is going to be crazy. So I don't know, man. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, man. But it's not that I don't think things can extend and pretend or prop up, but I feel very, very confident that it's not a misread, that the underlying system is rotted. like there, ever since that Bill Moreland thing, I've been reading more and more and looking more. It's just like, dude, there's so much papering over. There's so much fraud and papering over of like underlying cooked loans, assets, like things that are propping things up. Yeah, dude, it's a great statement. It feels like everything is somewhat Enron. Whether it's like this circular AI hype or whether it's housing or whether it's commercial real estate or whether it's auto. I mean, again, more auto loan providers keep fucking going belly up. Is that interview coming out? I have to work on it, bro. But we'll see. We'll fucking see. We'll 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 see. We will see. You talk much about Prop 50? I just mentioned that I voted for it. I thought about it. I wrestled with it. I almost didn't vote for it. I thought I'd be very principled, but I just feel like it's what we have. It's a race to the bottom, but we have to do it. I very much do think that that again, I've been critical of the entire political establishment, but I think that what Trump is doing is uniquely bad, and especially economically. And so I think if he maintains power a minute longer than he has to, it every minute is another fucking multiple years of pain. I feel like he's causing, as I get older too, it's like, man, I want to have a kid, and I'm just thinking like, dude, this is gonna such a fucking mess to clean up. I'm still gonna vote for him in 28. Obviously, I'm still voting for Trump in 28, and I'm still voting Barron Trump in 2032. But after that, it's like I'm gonna really reconsider. Okay, after that, I'm it's like, time's up, buddy. Time's up. Yeah, I'm gonna do it to own the libs. That's the first thing I'm gonna fucking do. Mm. What about if someone goes into debt with an auto loan for a reliable way to get to work? Are they making a bad choice just necessary one given the car market? No, it's tough because you, as an individual, you should try to do the best to make good financial decisions. Of course, I believe in that. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You got to figure it out. But these is like the access to easy money and the way these companies push it on people, and they lie, and they offer you deals they know you can't afford. They dangle it in front of you, is fucked. It's predatory, right? So it's a bigger systemic problem. It's this access to easy money has to come back to reality. The lending needs to come from institutions that actually own the risk. The real problem is that the people that lend the money can then sell your loan to they can pass the buck to somebody else. So they have no incentive to fucking care if you can pay it back. They don't care. Going off topic, how do you think the Dems are pulling off the election, the government shutdown record? Really well. I don't even think we know. They had 3 big wins yesterday. It does seem, and Trump said this in private. This is a leak from he met with John Thune and the other Republican and Mike Johnson. Trump in private said he thinks the Republicans are getting clobbered on the shutdown. He thinks that they need to fucking get rid of the filibuster and fucking get over this, because if they don't, they're taking more damage than the Democrats. And I do feel like that's the case just because of the principle we talked about, which is when there's times of chaos and everyone's going, he said, she said, and they're pointing fingers at each other, people just blame the person in power. End of the day, they're going to blame the person in power. They in like the first beginning of it, they go, okay, it's your fault, or it's your fault. It's the Democrats' fault, it's the Republican fault. But the longer it goes, the more they go, okay, well, listen, this chaos, it is bad. And I don't, do you know what I'm saying? It's hurt yourself in your confusion. If they get rid of the filibuster, wouldn't that benefit the next non-Republican government? Yeah, that's why the Republicans, other than Trump, don't want to do it. Trump wants to do it. John Thune is saying no. He's saying, no, I won't do it, because if they win, then they'll have that power to use against us. What if your name was Phil Buster? Good question. That's funny. That's funny. Mm. What time will the Japan streams be? I don't know how I'm going to stream in Japan. I'm going to do it, but I don't know how. I'm going to bring my fucking thing I use for New York. I'm going to walk around Japan. I'm going to stream for a bit, do some IRL stuff, talk with Aiden, recording some podcasts. Probably going to kick a deer. Yeah, probably going to kick a deer. Probably going to go on a bit of a Logan Paul tour of the countryside, if you know what I mean. But outside of that, no, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. I mean, I think I want to just at some point, use my laptop and just stream from the hotel room and do a normal stream about the news. I think that's not crazy. Like, this is a work trip, not really a vacation. We're doing 2 podcasts. I'm not leaving Tokyo. I'm gonna stream. Maybe there's a Chili's in Japan I can go to. That'd be sick. You said work trip, but you put trip in quotes. Do you think I'm not leaving? You could say work. You could say it's not work. That's fine, but it is a trip, right? Like I'm traveling. It's not. It's a soundstage. I'm hungry. I got food. Can we watch something? The answer is yes. What should we watch? That's up to you. Let's watch something where we can learn some fucking thing, okay? Let's watch a video where we can learn something interesting. Bam, 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 bam. I would like to learn something. I would like to learn something. What is this?
This here is the large.
This is interesting. Fuck it. No, I want to watch this first. AI tariffs and the unexpected rise of secondhand fashion. I don't know anything about this. It's only 8 minutes long.
Largest garment on hanger system in the world. We can house roughly up to 3.5 million items in this facility.
Here at ThreadUp's warehouse in Suwanee, Georgia, roughly 40,000 articles of used clothing are given a second life each day.
We receive more than 100,000 pieces of clothing every day, so it's a business operating at some significant scale.
ThreadUp isn't a thrift store. It's a resale platform built like a tech company, part logistics network, part e-commerce site.
We do all the work for you. We let buyers shop like they would shop anywhere else on the internet.
Gen Z shoppers have been driving the rise of secondhand fashion. Now, rising prices and new tariffs announced by the White House earlier this year are pushing even more Americans to follow their lead. The global secondhand apparel market is expected to reach $367 billion by 2029, growing almost 3
That's
times
huge.
faster than the overall global apparel market.
More people, of course, are turning to these resale platforms.
Does anyone here use these? I've used what is it, like Grailed? A lot of what I buy, the Lakers merch is used. I buy like old Lakers merch. I used it up like a decade ago. Interesting. I sell on these. I make a few thousand a year. That's interesting. How do you get the clothes? Do you thrift the clothes and then resell them on the apps? That's interesting. Is there like an arbitrage there? Or are you finding I scalp limited supply capsules? What is a capsule in this context? Bro's gonna narc, don't tell him. What do you mean I'm gonna narc? I'm just gonna it'll be on stream. You shoplift and sell? Dude, I would say you're joking, but I think you might not be. Because when I did that retail fraud question, dude, so many people were telling me, like, yeah, dude, I shoplift and I sell, and they're listing like fucking apps. Like, people told me this. They describe the exact way they do it. They use not just eBay. I can't think of the specific app names, but they're literally committing like mass retail fraud and then reselling it online. That's crazy. It's like it's industrial at this level.
To find ways to save money on their fashion purchases, while other people are going to these platforms to sell their items so they can earn a little extra income in order to offset some of the other rising costs.
And now AI tools are making it even easier for shoppers to buy secondhand. Fashion tech startups like Phoebe Gates and Sophia Kiani's AI shopping tool, Fia, are reshaping how people shop.
The next wave is taking all of this search data and all that we're learning from our users to start to personalize their results and move towards a discovery feed for each and every user.
CNBC got a behind-the-scenes look at ThreadUp's operations to learn more about how new AI tools and tariffs are boosting America's secondhand market.
Okay.
Every item that passes through here is sourced, sorted, and shipped within the US. No imports, no overseas supply chains.
ThreadUp is really easy to use. So for
I want to say something about tariffs, dude. What a fucking clown country if this whole year we have been increasing tariffs, causing tariff panic, wild swings in tariffs, and then at the end of the year, we just go, nah, all that was invalid, and then we we pay it all back. What a fucking crazy. It's just so like the biggest economy in the world. That's crazy. That's crazy. People who bought that are gonna be a richer man. Yeah, true.
sellers, we
Like
send
how would
you a
Let Nick's
clean
firm.
out kit. You fill it with all the things that you're no longer wearing. You put it where your mail gets picked up, and then we go to our distribution centers. We process all of your clothing.
Once the items have finished their photography over in studios, they're actually on their way up to the mezzanine so they can get put away into one of our put away carousels.
ThreadUp operates 4 facilities like this across the US, collectively processing hundreds of thousands
This
of
is
secondhand
crazy.
items weekly through a mix of human inspection,
Our packers are one of the most important jobs that we do here because they are the last hands that will be touching the customer's item before customer gets it. So they are there to make sure that quality is triple checked.
and automation that powers the company's resale engine.
Yeah, I mean, you
When
want to
this
make sure it's
building
not got a
was
big
first built
stain
in
in it or
2020,
something.
People would
Or it stinks or
have
it's
to
not
manually
washed.
enter in the information and print one barcode one by one. Now that we've automated it, we've been able to bring that down to one team member.
The US secondhand apparel market is expected to reach $74 billion by 2029, growing 9% annually on average.
I think it's a great opportunity to remind customers of
I mean, I think this is kind of cool, right? I don't see the downside too much. Like, I think secondhand apparel is cool because, you know, we don't need endless fast fashion constantly making new shit and then throwing that all stuff away. Like, what the fuck? That seems cool. It's less waste. It's I don't think that's bad. Can you increase the volume of the vid? Yeah, I can bring it up, or I can change my desktop audio here.
the great value that we provide on ThreadUp, and also that it's a sustainable way to shop during the holiday season.
After years of flat performance, ThreadUp stock is up over 1,000% in the past year.
I mean, it's not for me because I wear the same 6 flannels every fucking day. I think over this whole year I've worn 12 shirts. I'm actually not even fucking kidding. I've cycled, like, once I added some Lakers stuff, maybe a little bit more, but outside of that, I've been wearing fucking 12 shirts. I want to get like a cartoon character outfit. Steve Jobs, Doug Funny, dude. I want to get the same fucking, I want 100 copies of the same blue flannel. Just wear it every day. Don't even think about it.
President Trump's tariffs were billed as a way to bring manufacturing back home. But the measures hit one of America's most import-dependent industries, fashion. About 97% of clothing sold in the US is imported, mostly from China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and India.
Our reliance on products from overseas is being severely impacted by tariffs.
And that's sort of the existential threat that the industry is sort of grappling with now. How much price elasticity is out there for a consumer that's pretty exhausted from an inflation standpoint?
Prices were rising. We started to see them come down a little bit in the second half of 2024, but in the past 4 months, prices turned and started to go up again. So consumers are really looking for how can they save. We're seeing this overall mentality shift. We look at resale, dupes, fast fashion, even private brands. Like consumers are shifting to these.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're shifting these options or they're taking on debt. And that's, you know, the more I've learned about buy now, pay later, I mean, I'm glad that I can get some of you to not use it, but I also recognize that the biggest offenders with buy now, pay later are probably not my audience because it's mostly women. Like the biggest offenders of BNPL are young women, you know, 18 to 34 women. And I don't have, you know, I have 8%, 9%. And it's because, no, I mean, it is. It's just the stats. It's because they do more shopping online for fashion and etc., which is where BNPL is at checkout. And it's a huge portion of that. I think the problem with young men is gambling more than it is BNPL. Now, again, this is broad strokes because it is affecting both, you know, it's across both. But like men are more likely to throw their fucking money away on Robinhood and DraftKings and FanDuel. And then the BNPL is what's hitting young women. This is the math of it. Men be gambling. I have a friend who buy now, pay later $700 boots. That's fucking crazy. Dude. It doesn't magically make the price lower. You still paid $700 for boots. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're just, the impact is going to hit your bottom line. What if they buy now, pay later gambling debts? Now they're true. That's almost like an olive branch to this to the war of the sexes. If you want to reduce the gender divide in this country, you should buy now, pay later some parlays. That would be good. That's non-binary. That's non-binary, dude. If you BNPL some gambling debt.
Options, but they're not seeing them as a trade down. They're really seeing them as being just as good.
That shift is showing up across resale platforms. ThredUp reported that revenue grew 34% year over year in its third quarter 2025 earnings. It also said that it acquired more new customers in the third quarter than any other time in the company's history, with new buyer growth up 54% from the same period last year. Depop and OfferUp are also seeing similar momentum, and even Amazon is betting on pre-loved fashion.
We're also seeing an increasing number of sellers as people are looking to offset some of the rising costs, earn a little extra income.
If you start seeing higher prices flow through from tariffs, it would follow then that resold items could do one of two things. They could just allow demand to theoretically flow through by keeping their current pricing, right? Because that value spread would open up even greater. Or they could take their prices up and just maintain the same, you know, percentage spread to a like item, right. Full price like item. And both are significant benefits to resale platforms.
I mean, just an easier way to saying that is no matter what, like if tariffs drive new clothing prices up, secondary clothing is going to be way more appealing. So this is only going to get bigger. People are going to want to do more ThredUp style shopping, resale shopping, because it doesn't get hurt by tariffs.
But ThredUp isn't the only one changing how people shop. One of the newest players in resale, Fia, is using AI to take that idea even further. Founded by Phoebe Gates and Sophia Kiani, FIA compares thousands of listings across retail and resale in seconds, helping shoppers find the best deal, either new or used.
Well, we work with both secondhand partners and also retail.
Dude, I feel like you could game this so hard. If this is like an AI scan of the best deal and you're going to buy it right from the app, couldn't you make a fucking forgery or a fake and then list it as a cheaper price and then people are automatically buying it through FIA? And you could, you know what I'm like, because the AI can't detect. It just feels like that's gameable.
Partners, we have tens of thousands of users transacting, and it proves that we are really solving a pain point for our consumers.
AI has really accelerated, I think, the adoption of secondhand. I think consumers are going to benefit. It's going to bring more people to shopping secondhand.
Through essentially image capture and artificial intelligence, you're able to have essentially unlimited search attributes, right? So you can search for themes, Nantucket wedding, 4th of July, St. Patrick's Day, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
And that will bring you a broader universe of items.
AI has the potential to really transform the way that people are shopping online. Right now, AI has become an important discovery and research tool for shoppers. We're seeing more of them turn to AI chatbots for product recommendations, and many of these companies are looking for ways to try to monetize that behavior. Younger shoppers really are the driving force behind.
I do know that people ask ChatGPT a lot of fucking questions about their life, and they probably ask them buying questions. I totally get that. I am spooked for the world once that's monetized. Once you're like, hey, ChatGPT, I'm trying to get like a nice fucking shirt for dinner later. And then it's a sponsored ad. Well, ChatGPT's like, you know what? The best place to get this is, I think that's happening, of course. I mean, OpenAI is already announcing deals, but that's going to feel so strange.
The growth in fashion resale. Gen Z and millennials both value affordability and sustainability in their fashion purchases, and these things tend to be at odds. If you think about fast fashion, for example, it tends to be a cheaper option, but not a more sustainable option. Resale really hits on both of those fronts. So buying secondhand clothing items is both a cheaper and more sustainable option.
By 2029, new shoppers will account for 60% of all secondhand spending, and younger generations for nearly 70%.
Okay.
I think that idea of value, it's not just a one size fits all. It looks different. It's a different equation for each consumer. So it's really, for brands and retailers, it's about understanding, well, for my consumer, for my core demographics, what does that value equation look like, and how am I checking those value boxes?
The stigma around secondhand clothes really died with the baby boomer generation. And now you're seeing much younger cohorts really take to and adopt and even seek out these resold platforms.
Soon,
resold goods offer tangible value.
For retailers, that shift could be long-term, with some saying it could be the...
Dude, I gotta buy jeans. I have like 2 pairs of jeans for now going on 12 years. I have got to buy some jeans. It's fucking insane. It's insane. I have to buy jeans. Good jeans will last. They're not even good jeans, bro. I legitimately think I got one of these jeans at Target in like 2016, 2015, maybe less. 2012. And I just gotta get a pair of jeans. I just gotta do it. It's crazy. Dude, I used that last pair of jeans. I had 3 pairs of jeans. I used one of them till the hole in the knee got so big, the leg came off. And then there was one leg. It's just not. And then, yeah, I mean, there was holes piling up all over. I gotta fucking buy some jeans. You made them into jorts, right? Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Get some solid denim. That's a good idea. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. But also on stream, I usually wear like fucking gym shorts or something because it's hot in here. So I have a flannel top and gym short bottoms. Oh, maybe I can buy like nice denim in Japan. That'd be kind of fun. What's the point of not spending some money here? Relevant Sunny clip? What's this?
Man, I used to have some jean shorts like that too. I slept in them shits, man. Eventually, I blew the crotch out them things. But you can't wear them every day and expect for them to hold up. That's some nice-ass denim too. Miss them shorts. But you gotta take them off every now and then. You gotta take them off, son.
So I don't... True. Just fucking true, end of the day. End of the day? What are you going to say? That's true as hell. You got to take them off, son.
But
the truth about AI and mass layoffs. Melody Wright was saying in the interview that she doesn't believe that the layoffs are because of AI. It's a lie. A lie to cover a more economic decision. And I want to see if this...
Between January and September 2025, there have been more than 946,000 job cuts announced, with roughly 300,000 from the government sector.
That's the highest since 2020, and it's a 55% increase from what we saw last year through the same time period.
It would make sense to think AI is to blame for the layoffs.
Now that we've had generative AI come in and kind of change the equation, investors and boards are asking management teams, how are you using AI? Why aren't you using AI? Can't AI help you streamline costs?
But the latest round of layoff announcements in the fall of 2025 suggest AI might not be the root cause of the restructurings.
They also seem to be real signs that something new is happening, that we've turned a corner in the economy.
So we've seen a wide range of reasons. You're not really seeing companies say, I am cutting 10,000 employees and replacing them with one single computer.
Using AI and introducing it to save jobs turns out to be an enormously complicated and time-consuming exercise.
Yuck!
I think there's still a perception that it's simple and easy and cheap to do, and it's really not.
There's no doubt AI is a powerful force in the economy right now.
This stock footage is very funny.
Not.
This like data center.
There's no doubt AI is a powerful force in the economy right now. The extent to which we think it's affecting the economy and hiring
This
is
Steve Eisman, but he always lies.
Right now. The extent to
Steve Eisman's evil twin. Okay, he made the big long.
which we think it's affecting the economy and hiring is in graduate level, low-skilled jobs. We haven't been able to find yet much evidence that AI is capable at this moment of taking over sort of white-collar middle management jobs.
So why are we seeing so many layoffs? And how much of it is because of AI?
Interesting question. AI washing.
Wall Street has been hyping generative AI innovation for several years now, which is putting pressure on executives to make it a part of their business model. 79% of CEOs in the US said they feared they could lose their jobs within 2 years if they didn't deliver measurable AI-driven business
Dude,
gains.
it's so fun. That's why they say AI 400 times every earnings call. Every CEO, dude. I don't care if it's Dutch Bros Coffee. They just say AI like 400 times to make sure that everyone knows that they're not one of those CEOs that doesn't get it. We get it. We're cutting edge. We understand AI. AI.
Investors need to be a little careful with what some people have called AI washing. And what that is this idea that because business is deteriorating or there's some difficulty going on with the business, you say, oh, we're letting people go because of AI. No, you're letting people go because the business is hurting and calling it AI, and because Wall Street is buying anything with the letters A and I attached to it. And so what you might find is you would actually get a bump.
Dude, Allen Iverson missed his chance. He could have sold so much damn merch. If only, dude. This would have been his era. Everyone would have bought the fucking arm sleeves.
In your stock because you're letting people go because of AI.
There's this kind of financial fiduciary incentive for management teams to say they're using AI and say that strategies are related to AI, even if it's not totally related to AI. There's been surveys that have come out that found companies are attributing certain strategies and plans to AI, but it could be as simple as, using AI to write an email for you, right? Is that really a revolutionary use of this technology? No, but can you say you're using it as part of your strategy? Technically, yes.
We spent a lot of time looking.
Dude, this tracks what we've been saying. Just like, it feels like everything right now is for show. Like, so much of the goddamn economy is just to make something that looks real or looks good or looks like but it's all for fucking show. It's a facade. It's the fucking North Korean Main Street, dude. It just feels, it's all smoke and mirrors, fugazi, performative.
Carefully at companies that are actually trying to implement AI, and there's very little evidence that it cuts jobs anywhere near like the level that we're talking about. And in fact, most cases it doesn't cut headcount at all. It may come effectively later on by improving productivity, so you get some of the effects of it. But it turns out it's really, really hard to cut headcount with AI.
Even Meta's decision to cut 600 workers in October 2025, they cut those workers from their AI unit. And that's because the AI unit had gotten bloated. They'd hired too many people. And especially at these tech firms where the idea of integrating new technology, innovating and disrupting, you cannot have 10 people you have to go to make a decision if you want to be a disruptor and an innovator.
Companies are announcing big layoffs all the time. In a given year, there could be 1 million announced layoffs. The question is whether or not there's other hiring going on. And the problem we have is that there's no official hiring data.
We've seen...
Can I say it? Is it perhaps that Steve Leisman always tells the truth? Is it an ironic name? Is Steve Leisman actually not telling lies at all, but in fact a sage truth teller?
A wide variety of reasons for the layoffs that we've seen in recent months. Sometimes it's related to a larger restructuring at the company, an effort to reduce costs. Sometimes it's related to changes in the business. This is kind of a trend in corporate decision making where big corporations become really fat over time, right?
Body
you have
shaming,
all these
body
layers of middle
shaming.
management, and it takes a long time for people to get things done, right? Corporate employees spend a lot of their times in meetings. They spend a lot of time talking about work, but not a lot of time actually doing work. As we enter into leaner economic times, you're seeing companies...
Anyone ever had a job like this? I wonder how many of you, if you've had office job where it's a lot of meetings, because I have, and I fucking hated it, bro. It's not the worst in the world, and I'm never gonna pretend like it's but it just is very soul sucking. Meeting after meeting after meeting. I remember we were at Halloween. We're having the Halloween party, and we were just talking about our worst jobs. And again, my worst job is not nearly as bad as some of the ones I was hearing, but I remember, Ari and I, we were in our San Jose apartment during COVID. And there was a specific time around a launch where I had to explain the same thing, something like 6 times a day, every day for like a month and a half. And I remember during a meeting, I said, and I explained it, I made the pitch again, and then I muted and I fucking screamed. Like I muted, I turned the camera off, and I just and Ari heard me, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I was so mad, dude. I was so frustrated. Because they were just, every single executive had to hear the same thing over again. They were all covering their own ass. And it was so demoralizing. But obviously it's not the end of the world. And obviously they paid very well. And overall I felt good about it. But that's an example.
kind of rethink their corporate structures. Do I need 5 layers of management for one project to get done? If I cut out 3 to 4 of those, how quickly can we actually have this project out in front of customers? And when you're in a high interest rate environment, the job market has become weaker. Consumer spending has become weaker. You don't really have the luxury to have 5 layers of management to go through every time you make a decision.
I think in general, they just don't seem to worry about the consequences of overcutting, nor do they worry about the consequences of what happens if they're guessing wrong about recession. So there's been some interesting research over the last couple of years showing the costs of doing that. And basically the short conclusion is the longer you can resist a layoff, the better your financial performance is likely to be. And part of that is because you don't save as much money by cutting as you think, but also on the rebound, it takes you a while to bring new people in, get them settled, not disrupt the place, and then turn things around.
There's a great story out there that maybe people want to tell about the coming revolution of AI wiping out all the jobs. Let's just be skeptical of that till we have a little harder evidence.
Steve Truthman. Steve Truthman. Thank you for your interview. That was very interesting. I liked it. He's bald though, and he still spits fire like that. Dude, a lot of these are very interesting. I'm honestly, a lot of this is very, very interesting. Like what about fucking Taco Bell's Live Moss cafes or Wawa? Dude, all I know about Wawa is the people on the East Coast never fucking shut up about it. Every East Coaster talks about Wawa like it's a fucking holy mecca. Okay? And we don't have it here, and I never grew up with it, so I know not shit about it.
I have a beefsteak shorty.
My bag. Hello, would you like to try a sample?
How are you today, sir? You have a work car today?
It's 10 a.m. on a Monday, and we're at a Wawa, one of America's largest convenience store chains.
Someone said Wawa is literally heaven on earth, which is so funny. It's like such a... The American heaven is a fucking convenience store with... It's 7-Eleven with a deli. It's no Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is the South. That's like Texas. And dude, I saw a little pro-American propaganda here though. I saw that a Buc-ee's general manager makes more money than a doctor in Europe. Which is fucking crazy. Bro. So there's a lot. I don't know about Buc-ee's either. I think I've driven past Buc-ee's when I drive road trips, but you guys don't have In-N-Out on the East Coast. Is there In-N-Out in the South? Arizona, there is. In-N-Out's great, bro. In-N-Out, don't sleep on that.
Right outside of Philadelphia.
8:30. Have a great day.
Gobbler's back today. First day. Yep.
Today's the first day of the Gobbler, one of its limited time offers inspired by Thanksgiving.
The
Food
Gobbler
has helped Wawa build a fiercely loyal fan base, what some call a cult-like following.
I love Wawa. I don't even get gas. I get food.
I love their products, their sandwiches, their coffee.
Any cult following starts with each customer, each visit, each transaction, and turning it to something more than it should be. We have 5 minutes with our customers. Make it the best 5 minutes of their day.
Have a nice day.
Expansion has been rapid. Revenue has more than doubled, and its workforce has grown by nearly 90% over the past decade.
Okay, they're hiring.
But competition is fierce.
Buc-ee's!
Convenience store chains are perfecting food, and fast food chains are expanding options and offering value deals and more customization.
You're going to see a continued expansion of high-quality food service in the convenience industry. And if anything, the quick service restaurants better watch out, because if you can get better food faster at a gas station, that kind of changes everything.
But with an estimated...
Dude, I saw both Chipotle and McDonald's terrible earnings. Both of them said, consumers in the bottom half of the K are dropping out of buying both of their food. It's too pricey. They both, yeah, it was bad. And so I would see people shifting more to something like Wawa or whatever if they think they can get a better deal.
$18.8 billion in annual revenue and nearly 1,200 stores. Wawa is
too expensive for literal shit food. I mean, I especially think that for McDonald's, yeah, but yeah, that's what people are saying, and like they had to admit it. They had to admit people. There's a huge chunk of customers that are turning away from the price increases at Chipotle, McDonald's, and restaurants like that.
Holding its own against public players like 7-Eleven and Casey's. So can it keep up the momentum?
Someone said all food is shit eventually. That's some Buddhist wisdom. It's true. Like, why matter whether it's well made or not? It all ends up as shit. So wise. That should be McDonald's new slogan. McDonald's, all food is eventually shit. So why not buy here? That's good, dude. You might win some customers back. Yeah.
Just 2 miles away, at Wawa's headquarters, the Innovation Center is testing new hoagies or subs.
Dude, what a fun job,
sauces, coffees, and
I legitimately think, I mean, I wouldn't be any good at it. I'm not a chef in any way. But it would be a fun job to work at a fucking food innovation center, coming up with new sandwiches and smoothies and things for. That'd be cool. It'd be fun. It's cool those jobs exist. They're the ones you hear about.
These.
So this is the second round of samples.
Can we send back out several concepts to our Wingmates panel?
Aside from the dozens of fresh food and beverage options available to customers in store, Wawa offers 15 limited time items every year. The Gobbler, around Thanksgiving, is its most popular. Coffee is a big deal. There are already 9 variations at its stores.
We used to have different third parties. Dunkin' or Pizza Hut was part of our offer here. And customers said to us, we trust you, we trust your food, we trust the brand you are. And so now every product we sell here that's food or fresh beverages.
Cut out the middleman.
I think it offers a nice tart flavor.
All right, I'm gonna get some slurpant.
A focus on food is paying off. Customers who shop at both Wawa and quick service chains Burger King, Wendy's, or Starbucks have been shopping more frequently with Wawa than with the others since 2023. And breakfast is the clear winner. Morning meal traffic increased by 5% at food-forward convenience stores like Wawa, while QSRs only increased by 1% in August 2025.
The big thing Wawa figured out is if you look at all of the negatives that were historically associated with the gas station industry, the bathrooms, maybe the last resort food, Wawa flipped all of that and decided to turn those into positives.
Wawa's customer base is also increasing.
Smart.
While at competitors 7-Eleven, Circle K, and Sheetz, it's shrinking.
Okay, where is Sheetz based, and why does it sound like shits? Sheetz always sounds so unappealing to me. I would never buy food from a place named Sheetz. But I don't understand. What is the fucking... It's Western Pennsylvania? Sheetz. Sheetz is better than Wawa. It's goated. People love Sheetz. I mean, I've never tried it, so I'm ignorant. But it sounds bad. All food is eventually Sheetz.
Know each other by name. People create this warm environment. That, I think, is somehow the secret sauce of what creates, if there is a cult.
It feels like a bad brand name.
Up, next person. Come on.
And it starts with its employees. They own nearly 40% of the company.
When you're an owner, you're just vested a little bit more. There's a higher level of commitment. Our most loyal customers,
that's really
they're
cool.
here 3, 4, 5, 10 times a week.
Didn't know that.
You get to know them by name. You get to know their family. You get to know what's happening. And that connection, it's not really an expected thing in training. It happens because of culture.
Tell her I said hi too. I will. Tell her get better soon.
Wawa began as an iron foundry in New Jersey in 1803, before shifting to a dairy business in Pennsylvania nearly a century later. As home delivery declined, the company pivoted again, opening the first Wawa food market in the 1960s.
Okay.
When you think of convenience stores, Of the 154,000 about in the United States, many were born out of major oil companies. Some were born out of the dairy heritage. It just gave us, I think, a little bit of a leg up on food to begin with.
In the following decades, Wawa grew slowly in its home markets of Philadelphia and South Jersey and built a significant presence across three other East Coast states, plus Washington, D.C. It doubled down on convenience, becoming a 24/7 operation in the 70s at a time when most retailers closed early and offering surcharge-free ATMs, free air for tires, and
surcharge-free ATM. That's actually really nice. That's a little thing that I do respect that. I hate when you get a fucking fat ATM fee. Although I with USAA they pay it for you, which is actually pretty sick. I do respect that. Yeah, it draws you in.
And finally, fuel in the 90s. It debuted in Florida in 2012. As of 2024, the state holds more Wawas than any other.
Wawa has become synonymous with Florida, heading out to the Midwest. We had a lot of research, we knew the customers, we'd done all the homework, and the lines around those stores and the opening excitement was palpable. And those stores have performed almost as well as core market stores coming out of the gate.
But the convenience store business is getting more competitive as the industry has consolidated. Since 2022, Wawa has been focused on an aggressive expansion plan without mergers or acquisitions, growing from 6 to 12 states. And its annual revenue rose by $4 billion in that time frame. Store count has grown more than 50% over the past decade. The goal is 1,700 locations by 2030.
Doing that gives us the best chance of success long term. It's a little more challenging, sure.
I feel like by the time Wawa gets to the West Coast, it will suck. They're in the growth, let's do really good phase. By the time it gets fucking 3,000 stores and it gets to fucking LA, they're like fucking sold to private equity or something. And it's gonna,
M&A might open more doors and more growth for us, but it's never.
Oh, speaking of that, if you guys been to Subway since they got bought by private equity, I think late last year, my understanding is that Subway this year, they are slicing the meat so thin. They're because I've always been a Subway guy. I've always liked Subway. But I've heard they're slicing it. It's so shrinkflation. And they charge a lot to you. The prices are up and the quality is down, dude. That is what I've heard. Jersey Mike's on top. Jersey Mike's private equity. I mean, Jersey Mike's just got bought in 2025 by Blackstone. So I don't know how much longer they're gonna say they're gonna stay good, but Firehouse Subs never done me wrong. It does suck though, because I've defended Subway on this stream. I always like Subway. But I had one bad experience like 2 months ago, and I haven't really done it since. And then I just heard lately that they're just getting insanely shrinkflationed.
Been for us to be the biggest. It's trying to be the best.
As opposed to other competitors like Casey's, which focuses on rural America, Wawa is in urban areas. The company serves nearly 1 billion customers per year, with an annual customer traffic growth of 3% since 2015. Though Wawa has been methodical about where and when to expand, scaling is still risky. Quality and customer service must be maintained, or the company risks damaging its reputation.
Anytime a company starts to expand far outside of its region in this industry, there is going to be that challenge of how do I maintain the customer experience that I'm known for.
With Wawa's heavy emphasis on fresh food, maintaining a strong supply chain is imperative. Even so, the company must rely on third-party suppliers to deliver product, which poses operational vulnerabilities. Competitor Casey's, on the other hand, has full control over its supply chain, as it owns and operates both distribution centers and a transportation fleet.
I've never heard
Competition
of
is tight.
I've never heard of Casey's.
Convenience stores are challenged by other convenience stores, fast food chains, and now grocery stores, that offer pickup and delivery, undermining the convenience factor. As Wawa expands in its new markets, it will come up against those regions' own local convenience store favorites, like United Dairy Farmers in Indiana,
Never
Twice
seen
Daily
that.
in Tennessee,
Never seen that.
and Travel Center Buc-ee's in the South.
I know Buc-ee's.
They're going to bump up against some people who've really locked down certain regions and cut their teeth and sort of made a name for themselves innovating.
It's going to be a fight, which is good, by the way.
I don't know if anyone knows how this is going to shake out, to be quite honest.
Little competition, good for the customer.
The company has also had a few misses, like its pizza in 2023, which is still getting negative reviews, or the drive-thru concept it piloted in 2020. Those stores didn't offer customization, and you couldn't go inside. Wawa is still figuring out how to adapt the system.
If we don't have misses, we're not trying hard enough, and we do, certainly. So in the last few years, we launched a drive-through only store concept. We've tried 3 of them. They have come and mostly all gone. But from a great failure, you learn. So now,
That's fair.
with our mobile app, we've given customers the ability to order whatever they want.
High inflation poses a major risk. Between 2019 and 2025, Wawa raised prices by about 22%.
Jesus fucking Christ, Wendy's. Dude, if you're raising double the fucking raises of McDonald's, wait, that's crazy. Wendy's gone down the hole and it's so bad. I haven't been to Wendy's in a minute. I used to love their sea salt fries though. This is why Chili's supremacy.
Aligning with most competitors. And as Americans respond by pulling back spending, value meals have made a comeback, including at convenience stores.
You have to confront a company that has a well-oiled model that's been pressure tested in aggressive, tough markets, and they're going to come in and build state-of-the-art, new-to-industry stores, have all the modern amenities, and then on top of that, they're going to go in and hire really great employees, and they're going to pay them fairly. And yeah, that's a tough model to compete against.
Well, that sounds good.
We have to pay attention to McDonald's for sure, and we want to deliver more value, better quality at a better price. And you can have even better service. That's been the formula for us to take share, to win share, and will continue to be. We have a broader set of menu, and it allows us
Plus
to
you can buy a
innovate
Zin
in
with your
ways
hoagie.
different products that may be a QSR.
That looks pretty good, actually. That was the best looking food thus far. That looks pretty tasty. That kind of looks like old Subway to me. That and a Zin, dude, and a Red Monster. Australia's monopoly is hitting in plain sight.
How much?
That's too fucking. Or Liquid Death and Sour Patch. Now you're talking my fucking language. Now you're speaking my language. What is this?
Okay,
The coffee crisis nobody's talking about? I mean, I think I already covered this. I'm actually not kidding. I'm scrolling through it. I did a video called "The Coffee Wars Are Heating Up," and it was about the rise of these other drinks, the competition between Starbucks losing. I'm scrolling. I think I already covered this. What fucking else?
Giant.
They say the coffee wars are heating up, but I get mine iced. He's on fire today, folks. Who is this guy? What the hell? The who dat difference? Bars on bars on bars? Thanks, guys. I needed that. I'm like getting some plus twos, bro. I'm like getting some plus twos. Should I? Jensen Huang says China will win AI race with US 2 hours ago. In the starkest comments yet from the head of the world's most valuable company, Huang told the FT China's going to win the AI race. I mean, this is the type of thing you say if you want the government to step in and fucking buy NVIDIA chips. I'm just being real. If you were trying to make sure that the Stargate project or something gets funded by the government, you would try to make a lot of fear over falling behind geopolitically with China. That would be, but there could definitely be some truth. I will say this. This is actually fucking true. Straight up. Which is that China just announced, like a week ago, not even that long ago, that they are going to have, as in they'll pay half of your energy bill for an AI data center if you only use Chinese chips, which is pretty fucking crazy. So if you build a data center in China and you use Chinese chips instead of NVIDIA ones, they will pay half your energy costs with the fucking government, which is crazy. I mean, it's funny because half of you are spamming, wow, based Chinese century Xi Jinping. And then you also, in a different environment, are like, I hate AI data centers. They shouldn't be built. Like, this is like leading to a massive surge of AI data center building. So your fucking, your logic makes no sense and your fucking philosophies are Twitch chat pilled and stupid. But I do agree that this is going, it's helpful for their attempt at leadership. It definitely is an advantage because I'm thinking more and more with AI that the advantage is not sustainable in the training or the data set. Like everything seems to even out over time. All the models catch up to each other. Whatever one has a lead for 3 months in some area, it always gets caught up to, and then it gets open sourced. And so the only advantage is in the scale of your energy production and your data center. It's like if the country that has the cheapest and most abundant energy is going to have the advantage more than any fucking tech breakthrough. And China's building fucking 12 nuclear plants and solar panels the size of Chicago. You know, they're like full speed ahead on energy production. And if they're going to subsidize that part of the cost, then I do think there's some points to what Jensen Huang is saying. It's funny because I think he wouldn't have said this a year ago because a year ago, Jensen was still trying to both sides this and sell chips to everybody. But now that China has completely fucking cut off sales of buying NVIDIA chips, there's no point in him trying to be like friendly to China. Did you see that China produces nuclear power at $2 per kilowatt and the US at 15? Yeah, that's why when people say like, oh, nuclear is too expensive, I say, you're a fucking idiot. Like, the reason it's too expensive is because we don't do it. It gets cheaper the more you do it. You get better at it and it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And they go, oh, well. And it's always the people who say that who never care about things being expensive when it's any other government expense. It's so disingenuous, bro. It makes me so annoyed. It'll be the type of person who's like, listen, I don't care about government debt. We have to do this. We have to build this for people. But when it's nuclear, it's like, ooh, we got to check the budget. It's like, you're not the budget guy. Don't pretend like you're the fucking budget guy. You never care about the fucking budget. You only care about it when you're pretending like you're suddenly a penny pincher for nuclear. I find it to be, it's such a fucking rancid line of thought. But anyway, it is cool. They're building a lot. Australia doesn't seem to be keen for it. Well, they're not keen for it, to be quite honest. But Australia, listen, if you're Australia, you're so far from even starting that you can at least make the safe case. And you have so much land and you can buy solar panels so cheaply from China. I am of the opinion that not only should you do both, you have to do both. But Australia's a little bit different case. I'm not too impressed. But other countries that had the technological capability and they're letting it lapse, or are just losing the structural ability to build, are going to see costs. They're going to see problems from that. The issue is, in Australia, they build the nuclear power plants upside down, and so all the toxic waste leaks out. It's like this green, because it's the gravities from where they are. So that's why it's a problem. That's why they don't like it. Germany increased their debt ceiling to still not dare to invest in nuclear. They talked about it a lot. But again, Germany's having a bit of a America or France problem, dude. Their little coalition is fracturing. We might see the CDU partner with the damn AFD at this point. It's it's tricky. It's fucking tricky. And the debt ceiling increase, they're supposed to invest in infrastructure. A lot of it's just being built on military spending. I don't know. Europe's entering war economy. I think it's a little bit extreme, but you're not too far off. It's definitely happening. Military spending's up on all these major European countries. They're trying to build it in Europe. Thoughts on when the shutdown's going to end? Dude, I don't fucking know. But I honestly am getting the sense that Donnie T is either going to force them to get rid of the filibuster or force them to cave. Because again, based on that leaked meeting today, he's furious and thinks the shutdown is hurting Republicans more than Democrats. That's what Donald Trump thinks. And so if he thinks that, then it will have to end soon. Yeah, I mean, last night kind of shows, at least the Democrats, they can keep doing what they're doing. They don't have to cave because they're not getting hurt by it. So I don't expect them to. I do think there's a world where they have a negotiation. Everybody gets at least one thing they can show to their base and say they won. Like maybe they fund this is my prediction, maybe, is they fund the Obamacare, American Affordable Care Act subsidies like the Democrats want, but they add like a stipulation that goes, it cannot go to illegal immigrants or something. Like they put it into the law or whatever. I mean, it's already not allowed to, but they make a big, and then both sides can go like, we got what we wanted. And that might happen. Why couldn't we have done that a month ago? I think both sides thought the other side would be hurt more. Will you be getting the Caitlin Clark Kobe 6s? Curious what your hoop sneakers are? I wear Kyrie's. I wear Kyrie's. They call me the white Kyrie. Okay. I'm a handles guy. And it's because I have really good handling, and also I believe in a flat earth. So that's the I'm the Ivory Irving. Kyrie's sort of the black Atrioc. Yeah, anyway. Not even the Lucas. I might get Lucas eventually. Dude, that's with clothing. Once I buy something, I use it until it literally is worn to the fucking stub. My non-basketball shoes have fucking the thinnest soles. I just don't change because it works. Bro got doused by Stans. I'll tell you a secret about this. This is only for the live stream. That is staged. Stans, I mean, I gave him this idea, actually. I was trying to help him out. I told him he should do a basketball 1v1s as people get taller. And I was the first guy. Next is Aiden, and the next was this guy Theo who plays with us, like the fucking European Wimby. And I was like, for this clip, it would be funnier if the first one is done in one shot. And so she's like, I'm telling you the truth. This is the truth, bro. This is the truth. Not saying Stans couldn't fucking beat me in a one-on-one. He's done it. All right. I'm just saying for this, it was staged. And this is the truth. He goes, all right, I'm going to fake it to the right. You bite on it. And then I'm going to go for a layup. And I'm like, all right, go. He fakes it. I fake dive for it. He goes for the layup, misses. I'm like, okay, whatever. Another take. We do it again. He misses again. Oh, open layup. Like it took us, I'm not kidding, like 4 takes, which was a staged first shot. That's a fact. I'm telling you, it's a fact. That's a per Atrioc. But I will also, to give Stans credit, he had just played like, I don't know, 4 full fucking games of full court. So he was gassed. He was fucking gassed before he recorded that. OpenAI asking the government for 1 trillion. Wait, what did this just happen? OpenAI 1 trillion. I don't see that. What are you talking about? No, they have like 1.5 trillion of spend that they've committed to. They don't have the money for. That's why I did the thing about Sam Altman getting that question and snapping. Oh, wait, 3 hours ago. What is this? What the fuck is this? This is an ad for investing in the stocks indices, which is just European companies. What is this? Give me through the ad. I want to see the fucking.
OpenAI, at our core, are the model company that needs always to be the state of the art. That's what we've done time and time again. GPT-5 is no exception. But even in areas like open source, we're attempting to put the state-of-the-art model always out into the world. And in order to do that, we always want to be on the frontier chip. So the question is, how long does a chip remain on the frontier? Is it 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or even longer? Now, in a world where we...
It's neither of those. It's like 1 to 2 years, 3 at max. Just to be clear, if you're trying to be the cutting edge AI model on the latest chip that comes out basically every year, that if you bought a bunch of GPUs, you can't pretend that they're going to be useful in 5 years if you want to be the cutting edge latest model. That's
have no compute, or we're compute constrained. We are absolutely using chips that have are like A100 equivalents that have been around like maybe 6-7 years at this point in time. If that's the case, financing chips gets a lot easier. If the timeline on the chip stays short, that gets harder. And so this is where we're looking for an ecosystem of banks,
6-7, by the way.
private equity, maybe even governmental, the ways governments can come to bear.
Meaning like a federal subsidy or something?
Meaning like just first of all, the backstop, the guarantee that allows the financing to happen. That.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You want to take out a massive loan to buy NVIDIA chips every fucking year, and you want the government to backstop that loan. They are getting fucking desperate. They are getting fucking desperate. No fucking way.
Can really drop the cost of the financing, but also increase the loan to value, so the amount of debt that you can take on top of an equity portion for
so some federal backstop for chip investment.
Exactly.
This company is going to blow up the whole fucking economy. I swear to God. OpenAI is fucking deranged, dude. Every day they announce a new fucking gazillion dollar goddamn deal they can't afford. And they are just going to try to get the government to bail them out. And it's actually so fucking obvious now.
And I think we're seeing that. I think the US government in particular has been incredibly forward-leaning, has really understood that AI is almost a national strategic asset, and that we really need to be thoughtful when we think about competition with, for example, China. Are we doing all the right things to grow our AI ecosystem as fast as possible?
Are you talking to the White House about?
Yeah, I want to say it's funny because the Chinese model is more. What China does is they don't pick a winner or a loser. They have the competition. It's more capitalistic than ours. They don't pick a company and give them money. They will do something like subsidize data center costs or energy costs and say anyone who uses any Chinese chips can get this subsidy. And then everybody competes viciously. And then a winner emerges, and then they usually put someone from the fucking CCP on the board, okay? Yes, they do that, and I don't like that part, but they do that. But there's vicious competition, and then a winner emerges. But what we're doing is like picking the already bigger company, like OpenAI or whatever, and saying they have to win, or the U.S. government has wasted all this money. It's way riskier. That's way more of a dangerous bet. Or Intel, or we're like, you don't get real innovation or real figuring out what consumers actually want or what works.
How to further formalize that kind of backstop?
We're always being brought in by the.
Hasn't Google already surpassed them? I don't know about Google, but I will say that Anthropic and Claude. Some of you are developers, right? Some of you are CS devs. For corporate use, for like companies paying for AI, Claude has already passed OpenAI. It already did. It passed them recently, and it's like heading up, OpenAI heading down. Companies are spending more money on Claude than they are on OpenAI. And corporate accounts are where the real money is in this type of thing. So yeah, again, OpenAI, it feels like a bad business, bro. I don't. Like people use ChatGPT, but only because most of them on the free plan. And if they did pay, they'll pay a small amount. So there's just not, is Claude the same thing as ChatGPT? I mean, it's an LLM. Yeah, but Claude is different in that it is, in a corporate environment, it's like better for coding. And they've built like features, like while OpenAI focused on a lot of different crap, like let's make short form video. Let's make a fucking role play bot. Let's make fucking Claude has been laser focused on like corporate clients, on getting the right features for someone in a corporation that wants to buy AI that helps their developers. And like a browser. Yeah, all that stuff. And I think Anthropic is kind of eating OpenAI's lunch on this corporate money.
The White House to give our point of view as an expert on what's happening in the sector, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Should we, is there something in the works that's tangible?
Nothing,
sort of...
No, I love you, Sarah, but nothing to announce, nothing that's going on right now.
If you wanted to, we're here to listen.
That honestly is a chilling interview to see. The CFO of OpenAI basically saying we're going to need government backstops on our loans. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say. I'll be honest with you. It feels like a small little thing, but that is crazy. That is a crazy, chilling interview. And I really fucking hope, I just hope that doesn't happen. That's wow. That's a bad idea. What is a backstop? It's like the government guaranteeing the loan if you can't pay it. You know, it's like if you're trying to get a house and you can't afford it and your parents step in and sign the mortgage. What that means is if you can't make your payments, then the debt falls to your parents. But that allows you to get a better interest rate. You know what I'm saying? It gives you, they're a guarantor. And so if the government comes in and backstops AI loans for, ChatGPT to buy a bunch of NVIDIA chips and they end up not being able to pay it, it falls on the taxpayer. Which is cringe. Which is very, very cringe. They have no incentive to pay the loan. I mean, look, if they have the money, they'll pay the loan, but the truth of the matter is that OpenAI is signing deals they cannot afford straight up. That is the fact. They are constantly telling everyone that they're good for it. Constantly, every day. Every 3 days, there's a news announcement like OpenAI signs $78 billion deal with Amazon. OpenAI signs $200 billion deal with AMD. OpenAI signs, and it's like, you don't have the money for any of this. It's real. It's live. Starlight. Sam Altman knows how to tell a story, though? I guess he does. I don't know anything about the assassination of Carlos Manzo in Mexico. I'll have to look into it. They will have an IPO. That could also happen. They could dump this thing on the public. They could do that. That's actually not that crazy. They could absolutely dump OpenAI on the public. Especially because the name is so hot right now. Everyone will fucking buy in. That would work. That would also let them raise money to keep things going. That's not out of the table. But that's like a non-profit profit structure. I don't know how it worked, but they probably could do it. Hey, isn't crypto down pretty bad? Not like insanely, but past few days. I saw that crypto over literally like the last 4-year period is now under, I want to say fucking treasuries, but it was definitely under like the S&P 500 or something. So it's like, the whole 4-year cycle on crypto is kind of being disproven. Has Lena Khan said anything about what she's doing for Zoran? Oh, she got a few words. Wait, let's see them. Lena Khan, few words.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all. I want to start off by just congratulating our mayor-elect Mamdani on an incredible victory and a just remarkable campaign this last year. I think what we saw last night was New Yorkers not just electing a new mayor, but clearly rejecting a politics where outsized corporate power and money too often end up dictating our politics.
True.
And a clear mandate for change where New Yorkers can get ahead and where all workers and small businesses can thrive, not just get by. I think what we saw through the campaign was an operation that showed extraordinary discipline, rigor, talent, and I know that Zoran has the vision and courage to make sure that we can actually deliver. It's such an honor to get to be part of his transition team, and I'm so excited to work with the co-chairs to make sure that we're building an administration that can hit the ground running on day one and deliver for all New Yorkers. Thank you so much.
That's sick. Lena. www.lenacon.com. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end, I guess. This is a very interesting day. I mean, today was pretty heavy economic stuff, but it was fun. I really enjoyed the interview with Melody Wright. We'll be editing that down. I might add some explanations. And then we're going to add... I have to leave because I'm going to go to the basketball game tonight. So I have to change and shower and eat and a bit of traffic. Wish Luka luck tonight. I really hope he beats Wemby, or I'm going to be crying when I come back on stream tomorrow. And then tomorrow is what? Thursday? Do I have a reason I can't go live early? I don't think so. I want to go live early. I want to cover the news. I want to play Empress. Okay? Hold me to it. Empress on Thursday. And, Friend Slap on Friday. And we're doing Friend Slap Fridays. I don't know exactly who everyone is in, but I think we're doing Friend Slap Fridays with Squeaks and Stans and Lud. I think that's happening. So, okay, goodbye. And if not, if they fucking can't do it for whatever reason, then I'll do it anyway, and I'll get Linkus and Maisie or something. We'll do it. Okay. Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate you. Goodbye. Have a good night.